breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. One of the world's largest airlines is grounded around the world. Delta Airlines is blaming a system outage and apologizing to customers on Twitter, saying any flights en route are not affected, but all flights scheduled this morning are currently delayed. A Kansas water park will be closed today after a 10-year-old boy was killed on a giant slide.
The Verrucht water slide at Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City, Kansas, is the tallest water slide in the world. It drops riders almost 170 feet at 65 miles per hour, and multiple people are telling local media outlets the harness on the ride was reportedly not working before the tragedy. The park not confirming that.
That's Fox's Kelly Wright. The boy, Caleb Schwab, was the son of a Kansas state lawmaker. An explosion today rocked a hospital in southwest Pakistan. At least 54 people are dead, dozens more injured in Quetta. The presidential race will go through Detroit this week. Both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will make major speeches there focused on the economy.
Clinton will be there Thursday, Trump today, and his campaign is really hoping that this speech will help turn the page on what was a very bad week full of controversy, party infighting, and bad polls. The latest one, out just yesterday from ABC News and the Washington Post, has Clinton ahead by 8 points, 50-42.
Fox's Kristen Fisher. At the Olympics, Michael Phelps adds to his record number of medals with his 19th gold, helping a men's relay swim team. Katie Ledecky also won gold in the pool.
Also a good day for USA's women's basketball. Really good, as in 121 points good. A new American Olympic record for the team as they beat Senegal 121-59. The bad? The Williams sisters, Venus and Serena, the reigning gold medalists in women's doubles, losing to the Czechs in the first round.
Fox's Chris Honig in Rio, where the U.S. leads in the medal count so far with 12. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This morning we have cloudy skies, 71 degrees, 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. All Delta Airlines flights at O'Hare grounded. We just heard Fox News talk about it. It is a massive system outage. There are major delays everywhere across the United States.
They didn't tell us anything. I didn't get an email. I didn't get anything. Nothing. It says sorry. An agent needs to check me in.
Delta tweeting about it, saying again, sorry for the inconvenience. Tens of thousands of passengers waking up to problems on the East Coast. They are rippling to O'Hare right now. They will soon be in Los Angeles and then spinning around the globe. Person hospitalized following a shooting outside Hawthorne Racecourse. Stinkney police say the victim was shot last night during the Belize Day in the Park, an annual cultural festival held in a parking lot outside the horse racing track. They are reviewing whether they will go forward with that event next year. Dozens gather in Chicago for a protest over the police shooting of an unarmed black 18-year-old. However, the protesters who gathered Sunday evening in Millennium Park marched downtown at times, blocking traffic. It comes 2 days after police released video showing the shooting of Paul O'Neill, a suspect in a car theft. An investigation is underway after a man shot to death during his own birthday party on Chicago's near West Side. Everett Coleman was gunned down early yesterday in the 1300 block of West Hastings Street. A canine police officer credited with helping authorities nab a robbery suspect in the northwest suburb of St. Charles. An 18-year-old man held up in a 7-Eleven store in the 1700 block of Maine. Later, an Elgin police dog tracked the robber to an apartment building about a quarter mile away. Officers then arrested Kevin Hamilton, charging him with armed robbery. Chicago sports, Baltimore whacked the White Sox 10-2. Manny Machado became the second player in Major League history to homer in the first, second, and third innings. Cubs over Oakland 3-1. A nice polished outing from Kyle Hendricks. Bears could be in need of a center. Hroniss Grasu will likely miss the upcoming season with a tear of his ACL in his right knee. The news service of Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains, not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to New York for $85 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Book now at Amtrak.com/saverfares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. 5:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's back. The biggest conservative event in the Midwest returns this October. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2016, October 29th in Itasca, featuring Alan West, Michelle Malkin, Mike Gallagher, Stephen Moore, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Joe Walsh, and many more. Tickets start at just $29. Order your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Dr. Amy and Associates, the Federal Savings Bank, and by Combined Sales.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-900-2502. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-900-2502. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-900-2502. That's 1-800-900-2502.
5:06 in Chicago this morning in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim Talamonte this week, here's David Morrison.
Thank you very much. We head straight down to the Bishop Ford, where inbound is completely blocked at Sibley, all because of a crash. Outbound, they've got part of the left lane blocked off because of an overturned vehicle, so actually both directions at this point, we're just getting updates, is completely blocked off at Sibley because of a rolled over semi. You're going to want to take either 159th or Sibley and get around that. Actually, I-57 would be a much better alternate. Everything's looking good on the Edens and the Kennedy. The Eisenhower is fine. We've got light traffic on the Stevenson. Dan Ryan and 57 are good, but once again, the Bishop Ford, both directions blocked off just south of 159th Street because of a rolled over semi. Northbound on Lakeshore Drive, you've got roadwork in the two right lanes between Wacker and Grand Avenue. It's going to be there till 6 a.m. Tollways are looking good. We've got light traffic volume in and out of Northwest Indiana. This traffic report is sponsored by Subway. Score Subway Restaurant's new Chicken Caesar Melt 6-inch meal. With chips and a 21-ounce drink, it's just $6. Sandwiches prepared in front of you. Limited time only at participating restaurants, plus tax. Additional charge for extras. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Partial sunshine today, high 84. Partly cloudy night, low 68. Then humid tomorrow with clouds and sun, high 88. Partly cloudy at night, still humid with a low 70. Partly sunny, hot and humid for Wednesday with a high of 91. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have 71 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by MyPainChicago.com. World-class treatment for chronic pain. Go to MyPainChicago.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, you one of the handful of Americans actually watching the Olympics, Amy? You have to turn your microphone on.
Have to turn it on, yeah.
Yeah,
Olympic-sized mistake there. Yeah, you want to know what I watched this weekend? Men's ping pong. USA played Spain. Watch that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Synchronized diving. Loved that. Gymnastics, women's gymnastic. Men's gymnastic, the vault competition.
I know the events.
Nonstop.
Give some highlights.
12:30 at night. That's when women's volleyball, beach volleyball started.
Yeah.
And we played Australia and watched that. And then before that, watched China and Switzerland. We have nonstop Olympic coverage going on at our house.
Well, let me just tell you, that summation is not going to get you to displace Ryan Seacrest. We need color here. We need. Did you see the French gymnast who broke his leg?
Oh.
And did you watch that over and over again? Were you weeping when Gabby Douglas failed to make the finals for the all-around to defend her gold medal in women's gymnastics?
Wow.
What about the three
watching.
NBA players who accidentally confused a brothel for a spa on the men's basketball team?
There was a bath. Wasn't it a massage parlor?
It was a brothel, and their cover story was they thought it was a spa because you know how, like the men's basketball team likes to go to a day spa to relax after a morning workout.
You know what? Did you watch the men 100-mile bike road race?
No, I don't have that kind of time.
Half of the competitors were eliminated because what they did on the course on mile 99, it transcended. It went down onto a cobblestone street, and everyone wiped out. And then a female cyclist yesterday, she broke her spine on the same route. So you think that they might change it?
No.
We're going to keep to it.
Now we're getting to it.
She was, from the Netherlands. The gore.
We want to hear the agony of defeat stories. And the thrill of victory stories like the slack-jawed Michael Phelps.
Yeah. And slack-jawed.
You got that weird smile.
Well, if you were at Olympics 19 gold medals, you'd be different too.
How about that?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
You know, there's some 41-year-old woman who's going to be in the vault. So there's a 41-year-old gymnast who's actually going to do.
From what country?
I don't know.
Did you see the refugee squad that they have?
Yeah, that's
or team. Excuse
too.
me. I saw Suicide Squad. I meant to say the refugee team that they have. There's a woman from Syria, but she didn't qualify. But everybody was in the crowd was pulling for her. They were hoping that she'd win. But did you watch?
Assad was not.
No, Assad. He was not.
He was not.
He didn't care. What about synchronized diving? Because my favorite, I can't wait for synchronized swimming.
You're trying to push our ratings into Olympic territory to talk about when you talk about synchronized diving.
26.5 million people watch opening ceremonies that lasted 4 hours.
26 million people worldwide. That's nothing.
I know. It was. They were down 35% from opening games in London 4 years ago.
Did you see the aerial shots of the stadium and the comparisons that were being made in terms of what the opening ceremony looked like?
No, I didn't see. Oh.
People were suggesting from the aerial shots of the stadium while the opening ceremony was going on that the stadium looked like a big lady part.
JJ? Well, we could say vajayjay. Everybody says that.
Well, we can use anatomically correct terms as well, but that's not the point. I'm just, yes, that's what they were saying.
Wow, I didn't notice that, but I waited and waited for your girl, Giselle. I had to wait 32 minutes before she walked out with the Ipanema. What song?
Girl from Ipanema.
Girl from Ipanema. I think she's getting. I think I have it. Oh no, I don't. I'm so sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but she wore a designer dress that took the creator 40 days to come up with because he wanted to match her skin tone and her hair color. I think she might be getting a little fat. She might be losing it a little.
Yeah.
Did you see her? She kind of had cankles. Was it? Did you watch your girl?
Mr. Tom Bunchen is not inspiring her.
She really wants you, Dan.
Here's the upshot of all this. The upshot of all this is thank goodness Chicago didn't get the games.
Why?
And by the way, why?
I was thinking about that.
Let me count the reasons.
I wish we had him.
Steve Malanga in City Journal has a great piece called Chicago's Olympic Escape if you want to get more details. But here's a bottom line. For somebody who's complaining about a 7% increase in their water utility bill, water sewer bill for next year, that compounds over the next 4. By 2012, unemployed Brazilians were rioting as they watched their government pour money into the games, which will cost some $20 billion against expected revenues of about $4.5 billion. You still missing Chicago hosting the games? Just on the financial piece of it, much less everything else.
But our politicians said it'd be funded by the private sector, by big, deep-pocketed, rich billionaires in Chicago. That's what they told us. That's how they'd fund the 2016 games. put up a makeshift stadium in Washington Park.
And are you the one person in Chicago who believed them? Okay.
Yeah, I probably was.
Yeah, well, don't. And so this is the story of hosting the Olympic
Yeah.
Games in the modern era.
That's
with
why
big
we're
welfare
glad.
states. So we should be ecstatic that, and despite the fact that, we could have both rented out our homes in Chicago for untold thousands, be ecstatic that we would have got it and got it good in the back end in terms of the cost to the city. And when I say city, of course, I mean taxpayers.
And so far, there haven't been a lot of protests. I mean, opening night there was, but yesterday, I don't know if you heard, stray bullet landed in the media tent. And they brought the shell casing out and were showing it to the police chief, and he looked at it and no, did anybody get hit? Anybody get hurt? No, we're fine. Just a random stray bullet. So where were you, Dan Proft, this weekend?
In important sports news,
Mm-hmm.
let's go to some important milestones in sports. First, Jim Furyk shot 58. Jim Furyk shot a 58, and he didn't win the tournament. 58 is a PGA record. A couple people have shot a 59. Jim Furyk, Al Geiberger was the first to do it. There's somebody else I'm missing. Justin Leonard, Mike Scott? Was it Justin Leonard? There's a third person who shot a 59. 58. I thought I was hot last week when I shot a 34 in the front at Olympia South. That's hot. By the way, interestingly,
still holding on to that dream.
I am. Interestingly, Furyk
Yes.
won the U.S. Open when it was held at Olympia Fields in 2003.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. How about that little factoid? And then the other piece of sports news, and then we'll get on to things that matter. A-Rod, last game Friday.
Yeah, that was. Did they randomly test him again?
No,
And then
not bad.
decide what on the down low. You know what? Let me just take a new position with the Yankees, and we don't have to make this public. That's what I kept thinking. This is a cover up.
The word in sports circles is that he's going to become a senior advisor to the Russian Olympic team. Hi-oh.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up next, car thief shot by police. Was it justified? But first, here's your forecast for today. It's going to be partly sunny, just a gorgeous day, high of 84 degrees. And then tonight, partly cloudy, and tomorrow, warm and a little bit more humid. Some clouds and sun, no rain, though, a high of 88 degrees. Let's get those travel times. Bishop Ford's a mess near 159th. Here's David Morrison with an update.
Both sides of the Bishop Ford completely blocked off, which is south of 159th, all because of this accident. If you're headed outbound, you've got delays starting from about Sibley. And inbound, it's jammed off of the Borman Expressway in northwest Indiana, getting to that scene. A semi-rollover reportedly hauling lumber, so it's lost its roadway. There's wood all over the road. It's going to take a while to clean up. You'll want to get off at Sibley if you're headed outbound to get around that. Otherwise, the I-57 side is going to be much better for you. You've also got a closure in Robbins. St. Louis Avenue shut down between 135th and 137th, all because of a shooting incident right near that intersection. Everything else in the roadways is doing just fine. The Eden's at 19 minutes either direction. The Kennedy's at 20 either way from O'Hare to downtown. 29 minutes on the Eisenhower between Thorndale and the post office, and the Stevenson is 24 minutes between the Tri-State and Lakeshore Drive. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
Are you addicted to drugs or alcohol? Even if you think you might have a problem, call this number right now for free information. 800-291-0145. That's 800-291-0145. By calling the Addiction Rehab Specialist, you're taking the first steps to recovery. Their advisors are ready to match you with a proven 5-star facility right now. The call is free and the information is free. 800-291-0145. The federal government says you can have up to 90 days off work for treatment. And if you have insurance through your employer, it could mean little to no cost to you. This free call is completely confidential. Seriously, pick up the phone and call us now. Our advisors are standing by. 800-291-0145. 800-291-0145. That's 800-291-0145. 800-291-0145. Addiction Rehab Specialist is a network of independent treatment centers and placement services nationwide.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter or hear about it from your friends, find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Sing it like you mean it, Dan Clint.
Did you see puts me to sleep. By the way, Mike Scott corrected. There's been like 13 PGA players that have shot a 59.
Well, and one female, Annika Sorensen, my Swedish friend. She went to University of Arizona. Great lady.
Yeah, as Annika Sorensen proved when she tried to play on the men's tour. Apples and oranges there. But
she still shot a 59.
Yeah, I'm talking about the men's tour.
Oh, she wasn't playing from the ladies' tees when she shot a 59.
Where was she playing from?
Your tees, those blue tees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nice
Or
golf
gold?
analysis, David
I don't know.
Faraday. So anyway, just a little sports correction.
Well,
there are
when
many more 59s than I thought. I've lost count. Wow.
When you
but no
shoot
50, only 158.
Yeah, and that's him, right?
Furyk.
Okay. When you shoot a 58, 59, just let me know. Text me, maybe tweet it out.
I don't know if that's
because I think you're heading in that direction.
I am, which is positive, but I've got a long road to hoe to get to 58. All right, so one of the big stories over the weekend was the release of 9 videos associated with the Paul O'Neill shooting that involved Chicago police. The Chicago police in a chase with Paul O'Neill, 18-year-old black kid, steals a car.
Not just a car, a Jaguar.
Okay.
Well, it's a very nice, sleek black Jaguar.
It was until he rammed into a police cruiser.
Yes, it was.
But then he rams into a police cruiser, chase on foot, he gets shot, and then so the dash cam videos have been released. There's 5 dash cam videos. There's 4 body cam videos. And the question is, for those who've seen it, we'll talk about it here, play a couple clips, but do you think the body cam videos end up being the Chicago Police Department's best friends? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636-DA, turnkey.pro. Text line. Here's kind of how it went down. Okay, let's try this again.
Going towards 7-4. Okay.
So just that part is really important because this is where O'Neill is coming down one street and coming right at him is one of the police cruisers. And he zips by them between a parked car and their car. And the 2 police officers got out of the car. One of the police officers apparently was on the other side was on the grass off the street in front of the parked car. The other police officer was in the passenger side. He gets out. And as O'Neill is whipping by in the Jaguar, he opens fire. Opens fire as he's passing the car and then continues, kind of comes around the front of the car and continues shooting as O'Neill has passed them and down the block. So this is a critically important piece of the event because of 2 things. One, it violated police department protocol instituted under Gary McCarthy that you do not shoot moving cars.
Yeah, you do not shoot at any moving vehicles. Correct.
2, it created confusion among other police on the scene, including the officers in the police cruiser he crashed into head on about a block down the road as to where the shooting was coming from.
Yeah.
Who's shooting? Where's the shooting coming from? Is he armed? They were uncertain about that because they heard shots. And they assumed...
Well, you had 2 police officers on both opposite sides of the stolen vehicle shooting each other. They're lucky they didn't kill each other in friendly fire.
Well...
I mean, if you... Channel 5, Phil Rogers did a great job slow-moing the video down. And literally, you could see them. They almost hit each other firing at each other.
Right.
So that's why that rule is in place, I believe, not shooting at a moving vehicle.
Well, the other thing is it creates confusion.
Yeah. And that squad car coming down the street is probably thinking, oh, this guy's got a gun. And because he hears a hail of bullets, and I'm sure he assumed that the guy, O'Neill, had a gun.
Or he's thinking, I know what police protocol is, and if the car was moving, it couldn't have been police that shot because we don't shoot at moving vehicles. So that's the confusion it creates. This is one of the officers then subsequent to that, after he had been shot. That's not captured on the body cam video. But after he was in custody, which is, they walk away from him, he's handcuffed, and paramedics have been called, and they're kind of talking to each other.
You shot too? Huh? You shoot? Yeah. You?
And they shot at us too, right?
One. I shot at the car after it almost hit you.
Right.
I shot at the car after it almost hit you.
Right. And then the other officer who shot him in the courtyard, I think that was Ortiz who shot him in the courtyard, they shot at us too. Two things there. One, he thought the assailants were shooting. Number two, there's also this fog of war confusion about the number of people in the car. They thought there were two for a while.
Two suspects in the car.
Two suspects. Yeah. They thought two suspects were in custody. One, Paul O'Neill, where he was shot and then arrested. And then there was another guy on the other side of the street who was also in custody, but it turned out not to be the case. There's just one person in custody, Paul O'Neill, who was shot and subsequently died from his injuries. And this is why you had Eddie Johnson, the Chicago police chief, say there are some things that are disturbing about this, and that he said a lot of people are upset by what they saw, and quite honestly, they have a right to be upset.
Were you upset by what you saw? Because when I saw it, I kept thinking, well, why did he steal the car? Well, why? Days before, he was using people's stolen credit cards. He stole cars in Bolingbrook, Naperville. They released footage 2 days before they released this tape, or these, body camera video of him at a convenience store using stolen credit cards.
Okay, right. I mean, it's clear that he was violating the law, and the media is really unprofessional and incendiary in their coverage of this shooting. Unarmed black teenager.
Yeah. Instead of saying car thief, alleged car thief.
They get to that, but the lead is unarmed black teenager. Unarmed black teenager. Yeah. Unarmed black teenager. Like this was completely an incident that Chicago police precipitated.
You would have loved church yesterday. Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
In our sermon, or not our sermon, they were talked about how God was with him and he sacrificed for the sins of others. And I felt like standing up again and saying he was a car thief who tried to kill police officers and rammed his stolen vehicle into a squad car.
Who sacrificed for our sins, God or Paul O'Neill?
Paul O'Neill.
I mean, what is the church you're going to? Did Paul O'Neill sacrifice for our sins? What the hell are they talking about?
Paul O'Neill's a thug. He is not a law-abiding citizen, and he could have stopped. And when they put your hands up, no, he ran, and that's why he got shot. He doesn't listen to authorities. He doesn't care.
Is there time for a response to the sermon, or what? Why do you go to that church?
Well, they took the Black Lives Matter sign down.
First of all, that's
Paul O'Neill's life matter.
It's blasphemous.
It is. It was sick. It was sick.
And so again, the overriding question: why do you go to that church? Yeah. That's about right. Todd and Wheeling, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good Monday morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, listen, I just want to make this quick. This guy was, driving at high speed. He's trying to run over cops, smashing into cars. That was a residential neighborhood. He could have killed a child. He could have killed a cop. He could have killed parents. It's pretty sick.
Well,
there's no question, Todd. Thanks for the call.
Think about your neighborhood. If that's happening in your neighborhood, don't you want police to take him out? Because I would.
Yeah, but
sorry he had to die. I feel bad for his sister or parents, but he needed to be taken down.
The issue with respect to police protocol, I'm not saying the characterization of Paul O'Neill's crimes is inaccurate. That's accurate. But the question about police protocol is if you kind of, start shooting down the block, then you're opening yourself up to collateral damage as well. You're opening yourself up to somebody being accidentally shot as well. This is probably in part why you have the no shooting at moving vehicles protocol.
Yeah,
I mean that officer, you heard him say, I shot at him when he almost hit you. It's clear. I mean, he just got through between the one police car and the parked car. And if the guy on the driver's side, when he got out, if he hadn't gotten across to the grass, he would have been either pinned in his car or he would have been hit and severely injured, if not killed. There's no question about that. But it still goes to the question of violating police protocol with respect to shooting at a moving vehicle. That's a legitimate issue. Phil on the northwest side.
Okay, Danny, using your example. So we don't shoot at a moving car if it's going towards a police officer and going to kill him.
I'm telling
Because it's a moving car.
Well,
Regardless, it's just a moving car. We don't shoot. We cover with a broad brush.
Well,
here,
I'm telling you what the Chicago Police Department police protocol is. I mean, this is why I'm telling you what Superintendent Johnson said about it. Thanks for the call, Phil.
And here is Superintendent Johnson.
Policy clearly states that we're prohibited from firing into or at moving vehicles if the vehicle is the only use of force.
We'll pick this up on the other side.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm 67, so I'm old. I'm doing a job, a very intense job, physical. And I had a headache coming on through my vision starts going. I was getting a headache, migraine. And I took 3 and 3 of those veggies and fruit. Right. And it disappeared while I was working in about 1 minute. Now, that's fabulous because usually when I get a migraine, it goes into so hard I have to lay down. He has me on a hook here as to the value of the product. It's excellent. Don't change it.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hey, ChicagoRadioDeals.com has pulled the trigger to bring you classes for Illinois gun owners. Take advantage of Illinois' concealed carry classes from Safer USA. Dave Lombardo, class instructor, is offering his concealed carry 16-hour seminar for only $150. Now, this seminar is normally $300, and it covers everything you need to know to protect you and your family with a concealed carry firearm for personal protection or against a home invasion. Dave is a pro, and he's also the host of the show on Target Radio. Get in a little range time as well with a 1-year range membership from the Outdoorsman Sports Shop in Winthrop Harbor. It's a premier gun range in Northeast Illinois, and a 1-year membership, $149. That's it. Your membership also includes great discounts on products and services at the Outdoorsman Sports Shop. So find out all the details at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is Paul O'Neill, family attorney, correct when he says Chicago police played judge, jury, and executioner? We'll discuss at 5:38.
But first, let's go into the newsroom and welcome back from his long vacation. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy, Dan, thank you. Good morning, everyone. 71 degrees. Explosion today rocked a hospital in southwest Pakistan, killing 54, injuring dozens more. Delta grounding all of its flights as the airline deals with a massive system outage. The airline has reported to customers on Twitter that systems are down everywhere.
Normally I logged right in. Now it's not logging in so quick. I'll have some flight information, but I have no update on if it's going to be late or anything like that. It's usually really good.
While there's been no word of the exact cause, Delta telling would-be travelers this morning, hopefully it will not be much longer. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump takes the podium today at the prestigious Detroit Economic Club, outlining an economic plan he says will boost jobs and make the country more competitive. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani says after a week of slip-ups that Trump is capable of rallying Republicans.
He's reaching out and supporting John McCain and Kelly Ayotte and Paul Ryan, who had been critical of him. Shows that he has the ability and the understanding to realize that there are going to be disagreements.
Meantime, Hillary Clinton is in a tight contest with Donald Trump in 2 Southwest states. In the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll, in Nevada, Clinton within the margin of error but trailing Trump. In the lead is also 2 for Trump in Arizona. The son of a Kansas lawmaker is dead after an accident at a water park in Kansas City. Caleb Schwab died while riding the world's tallest water slide, the 17-story tall Verrückt slide at the Schlitterbahn Water Park yesterday.
Given that safety is our first priority, we have closed our Kansas City park and have closed the ride pending a full investigation.
Caleb's father is a Kansas state representative. Here in the Chicago area, a person hospitalized following a shooting outside the Hawthorne race course. Stickney police say the victim was shot during the Belize Day in the Park cultural festival. And an investigation is underway after a man was shot to death at his own birthday party on Chicago's near West Side. Everett Coleman was gunned down yesterday in the 1300 block of West Hastings Street, according to Chicago police. Baltimore beat the White Sox 10-2. Cubs over Oakland 3-1. The news service of Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains and not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to Minneapolis for $54 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Book now at amtrak.com/saverfares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. 5:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what's happening to the Clinton campaign.
But you want to hear how goofy the Democrats are right now? They want to blame the Russians for the WikiLeaks stuff. Here's the Clinton campaign manager, Robbie Mook, on CNN.
The Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump. I don't think it's coincidental that these emails were released on the eve of our convention here. We also saw
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
If you think all banks are the same, it's time to think about Signature Bank Chicago. I'm Pete Olson, head of commercial banking at Signature Bank, where the people who own the bank operate the bank. Not in an abstract way, but in the same hands-on, personalized way that you run your business. We don't rely on a legion of business developers to find new relationships. We don't trust an outsourced phone bank to address your customer service needs, and we don't delegate decision-making to some anonymous credit committee that you'll never meet. We do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Call us today to see the Signature Bank difference.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
5:36. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. And in for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Thanks very much, Mike. Both sides of the Bishop Ford still blocked off near 159th Street because of a rolled over semi. It was hauling lumber, so all of that wood spread all over the roadway. Eden still doing fine. The inbound Kennedy a little bit tight from Austin to Lawrence because of late pickup of earlier road work. 22 minutes from O'Hare into downtown. The outbound trip's fine at 20. The Eisenhower and the Stevenson are clear. Dan Ryan inbound a little bit snug from 31st into downtown. 20 minutes from 95th Street. Outbound is good. Once again, the Bishop Ford completely closed off at 159th because of a rolled over semi, but I-57, it's super clear. That's a good alternate. Lakeshore Drive northbound tight from Wacker to Grand Avenue. There's still some road work in the two right lanes. It's scheduled to be there until 6 a.m. This traffic report sponsored by Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains, not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to Denver for just $94 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Book now at amtrak.com/saverfares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Partly sunny and 84 today. Partly cloudy and 68 overnight. Warm and humid tomorrow. High of 88. 71 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line talking about the Chicago police shooting of Paul O'Neill, who died from his wounds. This is the 18-year-old black kid who stole a car, zipped past two police officers, certainly endangering the lives of one of them on the driver's side, crashed into, head-on crash at another police cruiser, endangering their lives, and then fled on foot. The response so far from Chicago Police Chief Eddie Johnson, saying that people have a right to be upset by what they saw. The IPRA head, the investigative body, Illinois Independent Police Review Authority, Sharon Fairley, described the video as shocking and disturbing, this video that was released on Friday. And the lawyer representing the O'Neill family, Michael Oppenheimer, said this.
These police officers decided to play judge, jury, and executioner.
See, now, I don't believe that. I think that they felt that their lives were in danger. Clearly, erratic behavior, ramming his vehicle, his stolen Jaguar, into a squad car. And they just did what they had to do to protect themselves and the people in that neighborhood.
And the protesters out in force last night from Millennium Park were chanting this.
Justice, no peace! No justice, no peace! No justice! No...
It's a Maxine Waters classic.
Wait, and I have to get this off my chest. I watch GMA on the weekends, and they were saying, a city unhinged, Chicago chaos. There was no chaos. There was about 100 protesters, 50 on Friday, about 50 last night, and on Saturday there were about 100 protesters. This city is not on edge. I mean, this is, and then sad, I mean, this has happened before. Laquan McDonald, this isn't the first time that we've seen a police-involved shooting. But
the city's not on edge, but I'll tell you what Chicago police officers are, and they're going to be more on edge after this. And so part of the exchange that was captured on these 9 videos that were released, mostly the body cam videos, the 4 body cam videos, is really telling about the mentality of Chicago police right now in this climate. And so we talked about one issue being the one officer who shot at the moving vehicle, including as it had passed their car and was down the street before it rammed head-on into the cruiser. And then there's the aftermath of the shooting when Paul O'Neill was in custody and they were waiting for a paramedic and other officers were coming onto the scene. By the way, one thing that's really interesting about watching those videos, all 9 videos, and I watched them all.
Yeah.
Did you notice something about the Chicago police that were on scene? Did you notice something?
No.
All races.
Oh, yeah.
Female. Wait a second. Female cops.
Hispanics,
male
female,
cops.
male.
Yeah. It's worth noting. It's just worth noting because
he wasn't shot because he was black. I can tell you that much.
Of course not. But the media narrative and the way that this is covered, police versus the citizenry, which is offensive enough. Like we're putting ourselves on the opposite side of the police. That's not where I want to be. That's offensive enough. And then the way it's portrayed is like the Chicago police or other police departments are this monolithic, patriarchal white institution, pitted against poor minorities. And it's just not the case. I don't know how many times we have to recite the stats here, but I wanted to take judicial notice of what you see on that video because it's important. And it's white cops interacting with black cops, talking about what happened, and even basically giving advice to one of the police officers involved in the shooting. I think it's the officer who ultimately shot Paul O'Neill in the courtyard, and the back and forth between officers.
Make sure these are all off now, Tammy.
Okay, thank you.
You were involved in your okay.
Directly to
okay, all right. So, but here's the thing. Yours off? You got a thing on?
Trying to get in the back door, but disregard. It looks like he did get in the back door. He was working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so far.
There's a part there, must have missed it, where it says don't say anything until the administrative process starts, and then yeah, okay.
Not to sound like Rush Limbaugh, but that's cut 4.
Now that this is all done or like that, all you said, just relax.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
And you don't say anything until the administrative process is started, okay?
He was working on getting on that
And on the previous cut, one of the officers says, turn these things off.
Yeah, and then another one, he said, hey, and I'm going to have desk duty. I'll be on desk duty for 30 days.
Right. But just in terms of this interaction with them, in terms of recognizing the body cameras are on, and then the advice and counsel kind of colleague to colleague.
Like I said, because here's the thing. Any statements you're making in front of people's cameras, just get them out of the facility, okay? Wait till investigator all this stuff comes out, okay?
People see that as, oh, look, they're trying to cover it up because they're telling people to turn the cameras off. They're not. That's just part of the process. He's getting advice from one of his superiors.
Well, yes. And then O'Neill, not O'Neill, but the officer that was involved in shooting O'Neill in the courtyard, he walks up to another officer, and he's like despondent. And this black female officer, sorry we have to do this, but we have to do the race gender thing with the nature of the climate. She says something to him. So what you hear saying, he's like, oh, this expletive. She points to her vest, says, hey,
yeah,
this thing's on.
Yeah,
is what she's saying.
But you can tell the confusion. He thought he was being fired upon, so he fired back.
3 to 5 rounds, maybe.
Are you the one that
I heard gunshots coming at us.
But you're the one that shot the
Yes, I shot at him, yeah.
Okay.
I might have, I don't know.
What car were you in?
This car here.
I mean,
I know when the shots were coming at us, when the car was coming at us. That's all I heard was shots. I don't know if they fired or not. We came head on. I took off this way. He was coming over this way. When I approached this way, I didn't know if he was armed or not.
So the whole idea is shots coming at us because the other officer got out of his car shooting at the moving vehicle as it went down the block. And so people say, well, he's trying to protect his partner and he's, it's a split-second decision. That's true, but this is part of the reason perhaps that police protocol is don't shoot at moving cars, because it creates confusion and you have the officer down the block thinking that the shooting is coming from the suspect and not from police. Then he doesn't know if he's armed as he's chasing him in the courtyard.
And he doesn't stop when police say, hey, freeze. Drop your weapon, freeze, and he didn't do that, and he ran into someone's backyard.
And this is one of the more telling statements, in addition to the statement you relayed about the officer that shot down the block saying, oh, great, now I'm going to be on desk duty for 30 days. This is the officer that shot O'Neill. Listen to this.
Man, this is so up, man. I don't want nothing to happen to that guy, dude. The way going, man, I'm going to be crucified, bro.
Okay, he was in a hot car. No, don't worry about it.
I don't want anything to happen to that effing guy. I'm going to be crucified.
Yeah, I'm going to be crucified. And they were immediately put on desk duty, taken off the streets. But here's the question. Do we need to better train our police officers? Do we need to really review who we're hiring to be Chicago police officers? I wouldn't want to do that job, especially in this environment. Who is going to want to try and get a suspect off the street?
I think you can. I mean, look, the police protocol is what it is, but I can also understand in the moment when a speeding car is coming at you and a speeding car is coming at your partner and your door's open and I can understand how you would make that mistake. And unfortunately, I guess you could say forget your training because you feel like you're defending your partner in your position against a speeding car, which is a weapon. That's the way that Paul O'Neill was using it. He was using it as a weapon. He sideswiped the one car, and he crashed head on into the other car. Let's go to Bob in Waukegan. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Amy just said, should the police, get more training? I think that the kids that are creating the crimes should get more training from their parents before they hit the streets, but that's not why I called. I called because I know that Dan has political connections, and there should be a law filed in Illinois that if you are in commission of a crime and you get shot, maimed, or killed, you cannot sue the state. We all walk around with freedom and liberty here, and as long as we're abiding by the law, we don't have to worry about our life insurance policy paying off if we die. If I get killed in a car crash and I'm not on my phone or, speeding recklessly or doing something crazy, my life insurance policy will pay my wife. But if I go into a 7-Eleven with a gun and the clerk behind the counter shoots me and kills me, my insurance policy is not going to pay me a cent for being an idiot. So I think there should be a law in Illinois that says if you are in commission of a crime and you get maimed, killed, or hurt, you cannot sue the citizens of the state to recoup any money because what you were doing is wrong. Those policemen wouldn't be in a bad situation right now if that idiot hadn't tried to kill him with the Jaguar.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for the call, Bob. I wonder how long it'll be before one of Rahm Emanuel's emissaries drops off a $6 million check to the O'Neill family.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Forecast for today, really just a gorgeous day. Partly sunny, a high of 84 degrees. Perfect day to make a tea time, Dan, because your tea time, you're playing so well, swinging the club so wonderfully. And then tomorrow it's going to be warm, more humid with mostly sunny skies, a high of 88. How's the Bishop Ford doing? Let's get the latest from David Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
And Amy, unfortunately, the Bishop Ford's still blocked off at this point. Both directions are closed just south of 159th Street because of a crash. If you're headed outbound, delays begin at Sibley. Inbound delays now begin almost at the Indiana state line, getting to that scene. On the Eden, still looking pretty good. The inbound Kennedy is about 22 from O'Hare to downtown. There's some late road work being picked up right at about Lawrence. It's 10 from Montrose, 8 in the Express. Outbound's good. The Ike and the Stevenson are clear. Dan Ryan inbound clocking in at 20 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Once again, the Bishop Ford still blocked off just south of 159th Street. And there's some road work on northbound Lakeshore Drive right near Chicago Avenue still being picked up. We've got delays popping up 8094 westbound a little bit closer to I-65 because of some late night construction. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity. We can eliminate Islamist terrorism with love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of, according to Attorney General Dionne Warwick. And we can eliminate gun violence by turning emojis into plowshares, according to Apple CEO Tim Cook. As part of its new iPhone operating system, Apple has replaced its pistol emoji with a lime green squirt gun. Call it sensible emoji control. It's just an emoji, yes, and Tim Cook has every right to dumb down his smartphone as his contribution to the left's woozy, zero-tolerance dream world, where even his water gun could get a kid expelled from school, but is emblematic of the left's proclivity for preemptive intellectual disarmament in the face of violence perpetrated in the hood or by those wearing hoods. Tim Cook's wealth insulates him from the barbarism his sentimentality represents and begets. Tim Cook never has to worry about his physical security. He's got an app for that, and it affords him the luxury of being very cavalier when it comes to your security. So take Apple's advice and think different from its CEO, as the unsafest places in America are between the ears of leftist elites like Tim Cook.
You always listen to AM 560, The Answer. You've heard all about Turnkey IT, Chicagoland's leading IT service provider for small business. Turnkey provides world-class support and customizable plans for businesses with 5 to 100 users. And with some of Turnkey IT's programs, you get all new equipment, free security, and antivirus protection. Sound great? Then why haven't you called Turnkey IT? There's really no excuse. Turnkey IT is setting you up with their best offer yet. Through the summer, all AM 560 listeners receive their first month of service for just $1. Your business will receive comprehensive coverage, including unlimited help desk and online support, network hosting, and antivirus protection its first contracted month for just $1. Ready to make the switch? It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro now. That's turnkey.pro. And tell them AM 560 The Answer sent you. Get ready to focus on the important things of your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today.
Welcome to Move Time Radio, presented by the Arthritis Foundation, and we're smack dab in the middle of our dance-a-thon to fight arthritis pain. Me, I've been grooving for 10 hours straight, baby, but I'm a boogie machine. See, movement is just one of the ways to help fight osteoarthritis pain. Another is weight loss. You get rid of just 1 pound. That's 4 pounds of pressure off each knee. For more information on managing pain, visit fightarthritispain.org. Then meet me on the dance floor. This message brought to you by the Arthritis Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Promote your cardiovascular health, support your joints, enhance mood, memory with our pure EPA, DHA, omega-3 fatty acids. Buy 2 bottles, get the third one free. Call 800-370-3447. That's 800-370-3447.
Join Dr. Bob Marshall for Healthline, Saturday morning at 10 on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we're talking about legal fees in the city of Chicago with respect to police-involved shootings and the like. So the lawsuit that will soon be filed by Michael Oppenheimer on behalf of the O'Neill family. Well, there's this. Tiny Dancer got pantsed again, and when he gets pantsed, Chicago taxpayers are on the hook. This is the Park Grill settlement, the Park Grill restaurant right across from Millennial Park. Yeah. So this has gone on for a number of years now, going back to the Daily admin.
Yeah, what was the point of contention? What?
The essentially the lease agreement.
The lease.
The city, as usual, tries to negotiate after the fact because they don't believe in contract law. So the city announced late Friday another victory. $5.7 million settlement over the remaining life of the concession agreement, which is about another 17 years, between the Park Grill and the city. Isn't that great?
$5.7 million?
Yeah, that the city gets as part of their arrangement for the restaurant to operate.
That's it?
Yeah, here's the problem. The city has spent $6.9 million to law firms representing the city in the case, and the 5.7 is just like a little spike in garbage fees and like over the course of 17 years. So this is another case where it was personal animus and personal political muscle flexing by Daley, carried on by Tiny Dancer, because they're part and parcel of the same political culture and the same political party, I may add. And taxpayers are on the hook. When the city goes to court, you can bet that you are paying Chicago residents, and then the rest of us pay when Chicago goes with their tin cup to Springfield for a bailout for this or a bailout for that.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey, you've heard me talking about my good friends at Guardian Security Services for a few months now. And if you haven't called them yet, what are you waiting for? If you're unhappy with your door staff or on-site security officers at your gated community or residential high-rise, man, don't tolerate it. And certainly don't renew your contract for 2017. Instead, get a quote from Guardian Security Services. I put my name behind these guys because I love them and I really trust them. They only assign the most professional, highly trained door staff and security officers in all of Chicagoland. Schedule a free security assessment with my friends at Guardian Security Services. Get a contract quote for next year. Right now, call 708-385-3300. That's 708-385-3300. Tell them me, Joe Walsh, sent you, or go online at guardiansecurityinc.com.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low, and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, SAUL.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by, making minimum payments? You should know the credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people they're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a large portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-518-4020. 800-518-4020. 800-518-4020.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Did Hillary's unsecured server lead to the death of an Iranian nuclear scientist at 6:06?
And Donald Trump has ended his standoff with Republicans. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Delta flights grounded worldwide. Fox with the latest. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Delta is in a no-fly zone. The airline has computer problems keeping planes on the ground.
That's right. About unhinged, she doesn't look presidential, is totally code
Delta says it's
for we shouldn't elect a woman. That is exactly
I don't know if I agree entirely with that. Information coming from the company via a verified Twitter post. It says IT systems are down globally. The company's website is also affected, which is not good news for travelers trying to check in online. The outage comes after Southwest Airlines canceled more than 24 flights across the U.S. last month.
I'd kill for him.
After tech issues
I'd go to prison for him because I love him so much.
There is an American
Donald Trump is not qualified to be president, and he is temperamentally unfit to be commander-in-chief. I may have short-circuited it, and for that, I will try to clarify, because I think, Chris Wallace and I were probably talking past each other.
Afghanistan. A water park is closed in Kansas City, Kansas, where they're trying to figure out why a 10-year-old boy was
I may have short-circuited it, and for that, I will try to clarify, because I think, Chris Wallace and I were probably talking past each other.
And our rides are inspected by an outside party.
That's Park spokeswoman Winter Prosopio.
I love my dad.
Can go up to 70
I'd
miles
kill
an
for
hour.
him.
The boy killed.
I'd go to prison for him because I love him so much.
Lawmaker. The election is 3 months from today. And after a week of controversy surrounding Donald Trump and polls showing Hillary Clinton with a comfortable lead.
His campaign is really hoping to turn the page today in Detroit. That's where Trump is planning to deliver this major economic policy speech.
There's no time for this. Come on, what are you waiting for?
She too will be in Detroit delivering the exact same kind of speech on Thursday.
That's Fox's Kristen Fisher. Michael Phelps is at it again.
We don't pay ransom. We just don't pay ransom. It is our policy. This was not ransom. Any suggestion that it had anything to do with ransom is absolutely and utterly false.
Some clouds and 73 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning.
Would this have
I'm Mike
happened
Scott.
if those
We have heavy
passengers or
delays
drivers
this
had
morning.
more weight?
Lumber all over roadway. David Morrison is in for
Would this
general
have happened if
traffic
those-
updates, but it's a major problem and a headache for commuters this morning. We'll keep our eyes on that. Also in line for commuters, problems with Delta. All of its flights grounded at O'Hare and nationwide, part of a massive outage. The airline has reported to customers on Twitter that systems are down around the world.
Normally I logged right in. Now it's not logging in so quick. I'll have some flight information, but I have no update on if it's going to be late or anything like that. It's usually really good.
Delta telling would-be travelers this morning, hopefully it will not be much longer. A person hospitalized following a shooting outside the Hawthorne Race Course. Stickney police say the victim was shot last night during Belize Day in the park, an annual cultural festival there. Some ran away from that festival into the actual horse racing track. The festival was then stopped.
I mean, this story has been going on for...
Dozens have gathered.
Well,
in
so
Chicago
are you
for a protest
suggesting that we
over the
deport
police
all of the
shooting
Muslims in this
of an
country?
18-year-old.
I'm suggesting we have a discussion about it,
last
that's
night in
for sure.
Millennium Park.
Well, so are you suggesting that we deport all of the Muslims in this country?
I'm suggesting we have a discussion about it, that's for sure.
This happen. We're going to, every time something
I am
happens
absolutely
like this,
suggesting we figure out
how
do we
the demonstration comes 2 days after police released video showing the shooting of Paul O'Neill, who was a suspect in a car theft. Winnebago County's health department reporting its first case of a bird testing positive for West Nile this year. There have not been any human cases reported in that county this year so far. Admission to the Illinois State Fair is up 40%, and the preview night is no longer free, but officials have gussied it up.
Paul Ryan's
with
running
some grandstand
scared.
entertainment and a free concert.
FEC reports. He's
the August 11 preview night following the Twilight Parade carry a $5 admission fee, but you'll be able to see the Chicago Six. Including Dan Hampton,
people were upset with Paul
Wilson,
Ryan's agenda.
and Steve
Paul
McMichael
Ryan had to go on local radio
singing.
here to reassure people
Baltimore
that he
over the
still
White
had a
Sox
soul.
10-2.
Just like
Cubs
Christine
over
O'Donnell
Oakland
had to
3-1.
say
Bears may
she
be
wasn't a
in
witch.
need of a
Listen,
center after
you can get the
starter
Speaker of the
Hronis
House to go
Grasu
on
will
and
likely
say,
miss the
you
upcoming
still have
season
a soul, when in fact
with
he
an
sold his
ACL
soul
tear in his
to the
right knee.
globalists, and I
The
call
news
him
is a
a
service of
soulless
Triton
globalist.
College. At Triton, you'll find real quality in their modern facilities and dedicated faculty. You'll find real value in their courses that cost you a fraction of four-year schools. At Triton College, you'll find real opportunity. Visit triton.edu today. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's back. The biggest conservative event in the Midwest returns this October. It's Freedom Summit Chicago 2016. October 29th in Itasca, featuring Alan West, Michelle Malkin, Mike Gallagher, Stephen Moore, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Joe Walsh, and many more. Tickets start at just $29. Order your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Precision Payroll of America, Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists, and by the Illinois Policy Institute.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job. It's such a hassle, the searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer.
Pro-Wall Street member of Congress on either side of the aisle.
It is 6:06. Let's get the very latest in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
And Mike, still bad news for Bishop Ford commuters. Both directions still blocked off near 159th Street, all because of a rolled over semi. It was carrying a load of lumber and it spilled all over the roadway. So again, all lanes are blocked off. If you're headed outbound, your delays begin right about 130th. If you're headed inbound, the delays begin in northwest Indiana on 8094, close to Klein Avenue, all the way over to the Bishop Ford. So it is just a mess. If you want to take the Indiana Toll Road to the Skyway, that'd be a much better option. If you're already closer to the area, probably I-57 a much better alternate. Eaton's still doing well. Kennedy inbound 21 from O'Hare. The outbound trip is 22. Eisenhower inbound's 31 from Thorndale to the post office. The inbound Stevenson's 36 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound already 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Skyway and I-57 are fine. Once again, just as a reminder, Bishop Ford completely closed off both directions because of a rolled over semi. This traffic report brought to you by Burger King's Breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about in a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 croissant-wich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 croissant-wich for $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
At 6:07, it's time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com. Providing the right climate for business since 1935. Let's get an update on your official Chicagoland weather forecast with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, partly sunny, high 84. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 68. Tomorrow, warm and a bit more humid with clouds and sun. high of 88, and a low tomorrow night of 70. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
73 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fly By Night with Ken Severa. Heard Saturday evenings at midnight here on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I want to get to the execution of an Iranian nuclear scientist by our new friend in peace, the state of Iran, the Islamic Republic. But first, I want to take a little look into our future, which is frankly our present in so many ways. Belgium over the weekend, 2 police officers attacked with a machete by a man who shouted Allahu Akbar as he attacked the police officers. This was a 33-year-old Algerian man attacked 2 officers before getting shot to death.
Well, weren't they right outside the police station? They're close by.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And it was outside, right, a secure
got him,
zone
though,
outside
right?
the courthouse. And he was in the country illegally. He had actually been deported twice.
And got back in.
Prosecutors in Belgium, here we go. Here's the willful blindness. There are indications that the attack may have been inspired by a terrorist motive. He is known to police for criminal acts, not for terrorism. Gosh, this becomes a repetitive statement, don't we? Allahu Akbar.
What part of jihadist don't you get?
That may be an important piece of evidence. We haven't decided yet. So this is very much like the mental illness. This is the mental illness that, frankly, is starting to afflict authorities in Western European countries and in the Obama regime as well. But mental illness now, that was used to explain the attack in London last week.
Mm-hmm. Right, the 19-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said he was. The Norwegian Somalian. Actually, he was a Somalian Norwegian, and they said that he was mentally ill, that he wasn't a terrorist.
You know, it's there are people who are actually mentally ill, who suffer from mental illness, and it's kind of disparaging to people that have an actual mental illness to describe terrorists as mentally ill. They're terrorists. They have a eschatological ideology.
Eschatological, I love that.
Yeah, eschatological ideology was the name of my high school band. We were a Dan Fogelberg cover band.
Common spelling?
Yeah, you should have heard our rendition of Leader of the Band. But to describe as mental illness is troubling. And it's
an easy way out.
And you ready for this? Ready for this? Go back to the Munich shooting from a couple of weeks ago. The individual who opened fire in that McDonald's in a shopping center in Munich.
Lured people there through social media, saying I have free stuff to give away.
Do you remember Balcony Man? Balcony Man in Munich. This video went viral. There's a man on a balcony overlooking the shopping center and the McDonald's where the terrorist attack occurred, who was screaming at the terrorists, and he threw a beer bottle at him. He said at the time, all I had was a beer bottle thrown at him, but if I had a gun, I would have shot him in the head. He was essentially trying to distract him. Now, that individual, a man named Thomas Selby, is 57 years old, balcony man. He may be facing charges.
Why?
For insulting the terrorist murderer. I'm not kidding.
No, please.
Not kidding.
You're reading from The Onion. This can't be true.
You're right. The Onion is going to go out of business because of reality. The Onion cannot outdo reality. A spokesman for the state prosecutor's office in Munich says Selby, the balcony man, being investigated for potentially delivering, quote, insults to the detriment of the dead. Look for that in an Obama kind of out the door executive order, that insults to the detriment of the dead, per our friends in Western Europe, will be a new crime.
Wait. Will he spend time in jail? I mean, is that a possibility?
I don't know what the penalties for this ridiculous charge is, what they are in Germany, but he has given interviews since the shooting, maintaining his hatred for the killer and so forth, and this has generated the attention of prosecutors, even though he is being hailed as a hero for distracting the terrorist shooter while he was committing his crime, and perhaps saving some lives by just giving police more time to get on the scene. If you could distract them, doing the best you can from a balcony.
Oh my, this is
And
unheard of.
he's gonna be prosecuted for his choice of words, whatever he said, insulting the killer.
Better not happen here.
By the way, in terms of to help Belgian prosecutors, in terms of trying to figure out what this machete attack was all about, the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the machete attack against those 2 female police officers in Belgium. And now there's this. Over the weekend, we have a couple of things. We have Hillary Clinton short-circuiting, and we'll get to that, continuing to lie about lying. But before that, we have another instance here of the real-world impact of this unsecured private server that she had, potentially. We don't know the extent of it, but this is something that perhaps the D.C. press corps, in all of their bloviations about the temperament for the job, and particularly as it pertains to national security and their focus on Trump when making those inquiries, well, perhaps they would like to make similar inquiries to Hillary Clinton, because her private email server contains several messages discussing Shahram Amiri. He's the nuclear scientist who our friend the Ayatollahs executed last week amid allegations he was a spy for the U.S. government. Among the emails that have been retrieved from her private server and were released by Wiki, Clinton aide forward to then Secretary of State in July 2010 referred to Amiri as our friend. Here's what U.S. Senator Tom Cotton had to say about this matter on Face the Nation yesterday.
Now, of course, I'm not going to comment on what he may or may not have done for the United States government, but in the emails that were on Hillary Clinton's private server, there were conversations among her senior advisors about this gentleman. That goes to show just how reckless and careless her decisions was to put that kind of highly classified information on a private server. But I think her judgment is not suited to keep this country safe.
Well, U.S. authorities said that Amiri defected on his own accord in 2009 and provided secrets about Iran's nuclear program to the government. The CIA planned to pay Amiri $5 million in exchange for the sensitive information, according to reports.
But he never took the money, right? That's what I heard over the week, that he had never taken the $5 million.
Amiri, this turned out to kind of be a bizarre thing. He held a press conference in Tehran after his return.
Yeah, well, when he returned, they welcomed him. The government gave him flowers. He went on Iranian talk shows, and then he mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, well, that's how it happens.
So they welcome you back with okay.
And, then let's have a go meet in the basement.
Yeah.
He held the press conference. This is probably part of his cover story, since he was providing information to the U.S. government. Claimed that he had been kidnapped by American and Saudi intelligence agents on a religious pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia. But there are other things that he did that make it not a terribly credible story. He kind of had access to posting videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's an odd.
So you think that was his cover story? Because it's
it obviously was his cover story. But after he fell off the radar, as you say, kind of disappeared, then he's convicted of treason and
secretly in a hearing that wasn't made public.
Yeah,
and
they're
not
huge on transparency.
No, they're not.
Yeah, so the question becomes, he is providing information about Iran's nuclear program to the U.S. government. Kind of important, sensitive information. And he's got this cover story, and who knows what all the communications were between him and the Ayatollahs in Tehran. But what if through Wiki, through Guccifer, through other spies who are constantly spying, and we're constantly spying on other countries of interest, what if they did obtain correspondence between Hillary Clinton's senior aides and the Secretary of State about this individual and the information he was providing? Just the fact that they were discussing him would be enough. And there are emails that were released that provide substantiation to those conversations. She could have compromised a intelligence source for the country and gotten this man executed. I mean, does that matter? Does that matter? Do we want to talk about that, or do we want to talk about Donald Trump's colorful use of the English language? Which is more important? Dave and Racine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Greetings. Just kind of comparing and contrasting Hillary Clinton's, it's a big deal attitude towards Hillary Clinton, using unsecured and possibly getting someone killed, compared to the, hullabaloo over Scooter Libby, what he had to go through for possibly even just mentioning the name of Valerie Plame, and who was basically her CIA connection was practically in who's who of Washington D.C.
Yeah, thanks for the call. It's an interesting compare, right? I mean, Scooter Libby gets prosecuted by Patrick Fitzgerald for that leak, despite the fact that it was Richard Armitage who actually outed Valerie Plame, and here you have Hillary Clinton potentially compromising and compromising an intelligence source who subsequently executed once it was clear what he was doing, at least clear enough for the Ayatollahs.
So is this conjecture on your part that possibly her emails, or is there proof that her email leak?
Well, there's no proof. The Iranians
executed.
The Iranians didn't say it. They're not going to tell. Oh yeah, we got it. But the fact that WikiLeaks had it. Well, if WikiLeaks had it through Guccifer, whichever other hackers out there, is it implausible to believe that this information and that correspondence could have made its way to the Iranian mullahs? I think it's plausible. And regardless, it goes to highlight how dangerous it is to not treat intelligence-related material with the proper respect and impose the proper security. This is, real-world lives on the line, in addition to important intelligence that can enhance our national security. These are the real-world implications of this, there's just email stuff, blah, 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 yoga schedules, nonsense. But, Hillary Clinton didn't intend to do it, so everything's fine.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Gorgeous summer day, partly sunny, high of 84 degrees. Tonight, no rain. It's going to be cloudy, a low of 68. And for Tuesday, warm, a little more humid than today, a high of 88 degrees. Let's get those travel times. How's the Bishop Ford doing? Here's David Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks very much, Amy. The Bishop Ford's still a mess. It's blocked off in both directions. Just south of 159th Street, your outbound delay begins at about 130th. If you're headed inbound, still jammed off the Borman Expressway, Northwest Indiana, starting at about Burnham Avenue, getting to the scene. Still no word on when any lanes are going to be reopened. You want to head further west, take I-57 instead, or the Indiana Toll Road. They're much better options. Edens are still clear. The inbound Kennedy's 22 from O'Hare. Outbound's 30 back out to the airport. Starting to see some delays on the extension. Stevenson outbound is about 26 out to the Tri-State. Inbound's the same time. The Ike holds in at about 32 minutes either way between Thorndale and downtown. Dan Ryan inbound 21 minutes from 95th Street. There's a stall on the left shoulder just past the ballpark. Again, Bishop Ford still closed either direction near 159th, and because of that, I-57 starting to pick up some volume anywhere between 107th and the Dan Ryan. It's starting to get slow. Tri-State northbound heavy from Archer to LaGrange, Plainfield to 47th, and the Reagan Tollway up to North Avenue. It's also slow on the outbound 290 ramp. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're going to take a vacation this year, why not make it a vacation you'll remember for a lifetime? Imagine taking a trip that's more than just a vacation. Imagine taking a trip that brings history to life. History that includes the Greek Parthenon, the Acropolis, Malta, Rome, Naples, Jerusalem, and many others. This is exactly what you'll experience on the footsteps of the Apostles Mediterranean Cruise. It's happening this fall aboard Celebrity Cruise Line's Silhouette Cruise Liner. Experience the sights and sounds of the places where faith, culture, and history intersect. This 15-day trip includes stops in Italy, Greece, Israel, Malta, and Turkey. You'll travel in luxury on a premier cruise ship with deluxe accommodations and all meals included. So don't take another vacation. Take a trip that you'll remember for a lifetime. For more information and to book your trip, visit footstepsoftheapostlestour.com. That's footstepsoftheapostlestour.com.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
If you could quickly and painlessly clear your psoriasis or vitiligo, would you?
No matter how big the psoriasis is, no matter how small the psoriasis, we can help you.
Ashley is a clinical specialist for Extract, the amazing in-office treatment for psoriasis and vitiligo that's clinically proven to show immediate results with up to 95% clearance.
What my patients love most about the Extract treatments is it's safe, it's FDA cleared, and they're seeing results very quickly.
End the embarrassing, painful patches and discoloration with Extract. There's no medications, no topical ointments, and virtually no side effects. Extract uses light to transform your skin and change your life. It's covered by all major insurances and Medicare, and will help you find a doctor close by.
I love what I do. I love coming in every day and making a difference in patients' lives. It's amazing.
Call now to live Extract Clear. Call 800-978-3554. That's 800-978-3554. 800-978-3554, or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, a couple more Hillary bits over the weekend. She told the National Fraternal Order of Police that she's not going to be seeking the union's endorsement. How about that?
Oh.
We'll ask Dean Angelo about that when he joins us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. But Chuck Canterbury, the president of the National Fraternal Order of Police, said, "It sends a powerful message. To be honest with you, I was disappointed and shocked that there you go. Law and order election, who's on the side of the police, who's on the side of the professional agitators, not even going to seek the FOP endorsement."
Well, there's got to be a reason why.
Yes, because it doesn't fit with her narrative and her coalition, with which the Black Lives Matter partner is an important part. That's why. Why else could it be?
So she doesn't want to upset her constituents that are part of Black Lives Matter.
That's right. Police officers, you are not part of Hillary Clinton's coalition. Understand that. It couldn't be clearer. Not even seeking the FOP endorsement.
That's a huge slap in the face for police officers.
I
thought the DNC convention was bad, and now this?
Well, and then, maybe this is just another short circuit. Because she was before the Black Journalists Association over the weekend, and surprisingly, for an organization that's completely in the tank for the left and for Hillary specifically, they asked her a good question about her lying about lying, her continuing effort to mischaracterize what FBI Director Jim Comey said, pretending that he gave her some clean bill of health when it comes to her honesty.
She was being truthful to Americans.
Right.
And she said this 3 times.
And this is why, what you're about to hear is why 60% plus of Americans don't find her trustworthy.
Well, Kristen, I appreciate your asking that, because I was pointing out in both of those instances that Director Comey had said that my answers in my FBI interview were truthful. That's really the bottom line here. And I have said during the interview and in many other occasions over the past months that what I told the FBI, which he said was truthful, is consistent with what I have said publicly. So I may have short-circuited it, and for that I will try to clarify, because I think Chris Wallace and I were probably talking past each other because, of course, he could only talk to what I had told the FBI, and I appreciated that.
Talking past each other.
So
what a cop-out.
So so there's so much that she said that is wrong here. The Tribune actually did a nice fact check on what she said. She continues to say that Comey said what I said was true. What I said to the FBI was truthful. That's not what he said. What Comey said was that we have no basis to conclude that she lied to the FBI. That's very different. And with respect to her public comments, he had every basis to conclude that she lied to the American public, and Comey testified to that point during his appearance before the House Oversight Committee in this exchange with Trey Gowdy, which cannot be played enough between now and November.
Secretary Clinton said, "I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material." Was that true?
There was classified material emailed
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
So that short-circuiting, boy, that's a problem. And Donald Trump picked up on this. And if those worried about Donald Trump refocusing on Hillary Clinton, he started to do so over the weekend to his benefit.
The people of this country don't want somebody that's going to short-circuit up here. Okay? Not as your president.
Yeah, well, he was saying that she's mentally unfit to be president.
The people of this country don't want somebody that's unstable, Hillary Clinton, and you saw that. Did you saw that where she basically short-circuited?
Now this morning, mainstream media is saying that, Trump is suggesting that she's mentally unfit to be president. And Cokie Roberts was on This Week with Martha Raddatz saying that it's a gender issue now, that he wouldn't be saying that if she was a male presidential candidate.
Cokie Roberts that's an embarrassing comment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a preposterous comment. She is a congenital liar, Cokie. It has nothing to do with her gender. It has to do with she is a congenital liar, which is why 60% of the American public doesn't trust her, Cokie.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
On AM 560, The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Did you know that if you have mutual funds in your IRA, 401k, or investment accounts, that according to Forbes magazine, you could be paying as much as 3.17% in hidden fees every single year? 3.17% may not sound like much, but over 10 years, it's costing you 32%, whether your fund is up or down. Hi, it's Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group in Chicago and host of the Alpha Wealth Hour on AM 560. This is just one of the reasons I hate mutual funds, and you should too. You may not know this, but you have far more investment options today without the excessive fees. Learn what they are in my free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds. What you learn may shock you. To get your free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds, call 630-519-4742. There's no obligation. That's 630-519-4742.
Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Donald Trump finally ends his standoff with Republicans. And your friend Paul Nealon, running against Paul Ryan, was banned from his rally. We'll explain why.
And is Newt Gingrich right that the immigration status of Melania is the only person in the country whose immigration status the left is concerned about at 6:36?
But first, into the newsroom we go, and we welcome back Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 71 degrees. The Bishop Ford, a massive problem this morning. David Morrison has the traffic story for us in just a moment because of major spilled lumber incident. Meantime, we have massive computer system outages grounding all Delta Airlines flights worldwide. Thousands of would-be travelers are stranded in airports everywhere. Police in Pakistan say a suicide bomber carried out today's attack on a government-run hospital in Quetta. At least 53 are dead, dozens of others wounded. An American and Australian have apparently become captives in Afghanistan. A security official in the capital, Kabul, says 5 gunmen wearing Afghan military uniforms abducted the pair yesterday. It is a national day of mourning in Macedonia. A storm that hit that country's capital killed at least 21, injuring more than 70. Flags have been lowered. The search for the missing continues. Donald Trump introduces his economic plans today, including a temporary hold on any new regulations. The son of a Kansas lawmaker is dead after an accident at a major Kansas City water park. Communications director for the Schlitterbahn Water Park, Winter Prosapio, said several agencies are investigating this morning.
Given that safety is our first priority, we have closed our Kansas City park and have closed the ride pending a full investigation.
Caleb Schwab was killed in an accident on the Verrucht water slide on Sunday. A person is hospitalized following a shooting outside Hawthorne Racecourse. Stinkney police say the victim was shot during last night's Belize Day in the Park Cultural Festival. An investigation underway after a man was shot to death at his own birthday party on Chicago's Near West Side. Everett Coleman was gunned down early yesterday in the 1300 block of West Hastings Street. Baltimore beat the White Sox 10-2 and a win for the Cubs over Oakland 3-1. The news service of Triton College. At Triton, you'll find real quality in their modern facilities, dedicated faculty. You'll find real value in their courses that cost a fraction of four-year schools. At Triton College, you'll find real opportunity. Visit triton.edu today. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Virtually every democracy in the world requires an ID before voting. The left likes to compare America to Europe. Well, in Europe, you show an ID when you vote. Who the hell is this judge to tell North Carolina how to set its election unless it violates the Constitution? How does it violate the Constitution to ask for a voter ID? There's a preview of the future if Hillary Clinton wins.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
How long were you a slave? 5 years. What is your name?
Benner. On August 19th, my family was betrayed by my own brother. On the road to revenge, I won't let him go unpunished. One man was shown the path.
There is a way. Defeat your brother in the arena and free us all.
To redemption.
People would follow you. I would follow you.
You should have killed me. I will.
No! We haven't fought now, brother!
Ben-Hur. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters, Real D 3D and IMAX 3D, August 19th.
Attention! Live the American dream and your small business success story with janitorialpartner.com. They have over 40 years experience in marketing, sales, and operations to make your dream of owning a small business come true. They're adding new janitorial partners for the next 2 weeks, complete with training and leads to service their extensive commercial cleaning network. So fire your boss, provide a better life for you and your family, and stake your claim in a recession-proof business. Go to janitorialpartner.com now.
Available in Northern Illinois, Southern Wisconsin, and Northern Indiana. Call 888-999-8108.
6:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Mike, things are still a mess for Bishop Ford commuters. Both directions remain blocked off because of a rolled over semi that spilled some lumber all over the roadway. There is the upright cruiser on scene to try to get that lifted up, but still no estimated time of any lane reopenings. We'll definitely keep you posted right here. Everything's still doing fine on the outbound Edens. Inbounds 21 from Lake Cook down to the junction. Kennedy outbound 30 minutes out to the airport. Inbounds 22 minutes from O'Hare into downtown. Eisenhower outbound is 35 out to Thorndale. Inbound is 33. The Stevenson inbound just over 40 minutes from 355 up to Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan outbound 15 minutes. Inbound is 21. 57 inbound. Slow now starting at 107th up to the Ryan. People avoiding that Bishop Ford closure, where once again it is shut down near 159th Street because of a rolled over semi. Delays building on the northbound Tri-State between 95th Street and the Hinsdale Oasis, and then from 88 up to North Avenue. And also looking at earlier incidents, 65 southbound at Ridge Road, there was an earlier crash. It has been cleared out of the way. This traffic report is sponsored by Biota Botanicals. Biota Botanicals Advanced Herbal Care Collection. Safe and effective, Biota is a worldwide favorite when it comes to combating thinning damaged hair. Visit biotausa.com. That's BIOTAUSA.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, partly sunny and 84 today. Partly cloudy and 68 overnight. 73 at O'Hare, 67 in Aurora. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So it's happening. It's happening. I can't believe it.
Party unity?
No.
Within the Republican Party?
No, something much more profound than that. I'm talking about love. One of the great tweets of this election cycle to date is movie plot. The two most unlikable people in the country run for president and fall in love.
Oh, that's right.
And you have reality imitating art. Hillary's opponent today, her husband tomorrow.
And of course, I hope you will compare what I'm proposing to what my opponent is talking about.
Oh.
Wait.
My opponent is talking about. I think she's
She's secretly in love with Donald Trump.
I think that pantsuit is on fire for Trump.
They are friends. She did go to his wedding. Maybe she tried to stop his wedding to Melania. Maybe she was the one. Is there anyone here?
I'm telling you.
Please speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think Trump's charm and animal magnetism is short-circuiting Hillary. That's not the only indication. Last week, she called for a middle-class tax hike.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
Yay! Raise taxes on the middle class. Trump.
Woohoo!
What cologne is that Trump wearing, huh?
Oh, Black Panther. Or is it? What was it? Odium.
Sex Panther by Odeon.
Rawr.
Yeah. Ooh, it's quite pungent. So, I mean, what short-circuiting going on? And then she lied about lying over the weekend with respect to what Jim Comey said about her private server and illegally trafficking in classified information, although that's not what Comey said. That's my interpretation of it. Yes. But what do you think about that husband, middle-class tax increase? She's a woman in love, clearly.
She's firing on all cylinders. No, Hillary, she wins the presidency. She dumps Bill and picks up Trump.
I'm telling you.
He wants to be the first lady. If he can't be the
What a story
president.
It would be. Now, I'm not sure Trump is going to respond in kind.
No.
This may be unrequited.
Can you imagine
passion that Hillary is commuting?
Dropping Melania for Hillary? A little bit of a difference.
Yeah, I don't think I'd replace Hillary with the Red Queen Sands necklace, if you get the Game of Thrones reference.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. So while that was happening, Hillary is all aflutter over her newfound crush on Trump. Trump was trying to put last week behind him by rolling in with those he restrained himself from endorsing earlier in the week.
Well, he finally ended his standoff with the Republican Party, and while in Wisconsin with the cheeseheads, excuse me, he endorsed, reading from a statement, by the way, reading his endorsement for Paul Ryan. This is quite genius.
I support and endorse our Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Literally reading it from a piece of paper. And then he went on to support Senator John McCain.
I hold in the highest esteem Senator John McCain for his service to our country in uniform and in public office. And I fully support and endorse his reelection.
And he went on to praise Kelly Ayotte as a rising star in the GOP.
Endorsed her, too.
Yeah. None of them were there. I mean, Paul Ryan, Scott Walker, Senator Johnson.
Well,
and they have an election tomorrow.
This is interesting, isn't it? Because one of the concerns is, will Donald Trump, if elected, will he color inside the lines when coloring inside the lines is necessary? Will he work with a Republican-controlled Congress to move something approximating a conservative policy agenda forward, at least in part. It won't be in total, certainly not on matters like trade. And this is evidence that maybe if there is a price to be paid, and there was last week, that you will get Trump to color inside the lines, that he is willing to do things that are politically astute, even if they are obviously expedient. And if they run 180 degrees counter to previous pronouncements, that he will ultimately find his way to doing some of the right things, at least. Yeah. Because remember, the choice here is who presents any upside in terms of putting the last 8 years behind us. Trump provides some upside. Hillary Clinton provides no upside. So it's interesting that the choice that he made.
Come on, disingenuous. When he was reading from the piece of paper, it was like this. I don't know if you saw it, Dan, but I support Paul Ryan.
Yeah, I heard what he said.
I know, but the way he read it from a piece of paper, it was just.
Well, that's good.
It was quite scripted. This is what the establishment is wanting Donald Trump to do, be a more disciplined candidate. How long is this going to last?
It's not just the establishment. It's his own campaign team. When he gives the address on economic policy in Detroit today, that's going to be scripted too.
Yeah, he's going to be reading from a teleprompter.
And so fine.
Yeah, but how long is this going to last before he goes off the rails again?
I don't know how long it's going to last. That's it's an imponderable. The question is this the appropriate decision for Trump to make after, a lot of people are upset with Paul Ryan and certainly upset with John McCain for years and years. But Trump supporters, what do you say about him rolling in with McCain and Ayotte and Paul Ryan? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
You know who was barred from attending the rally? Someone that was going to go and hopefully get on stage with Donald Trump was Paul Ryan's challenger, Paul Nealon. You remember him, Dan?
I do.
When you made national news because you asked him this question?
Well, so are you suggesting that we deport all of the Muslims in this country?
I'm suggesting we have a discussion about it, that's for sure.
Oof.
I am absolutely suggesting we figure out how do we here's what we should be doing. We should be monitoring every mosque. We should be monitoring all social media. We should be we've got 3 million Muslims in the
so that made national news.
And Paul Ryan responded to Nealon's comments on our show on Friday on the Charlie Sykes show up in Milwaukee, and basically said it's embarrassing I even have to respond to such a suggestion, but I'll respond and denounce it, obviously. Mm-hmm. Paul Ryan probably wins that race going away tomorrow, but it doesn't mean some of the questions about him and some of the internal policy disagreements within the party disappear. They won't disappear. They'll just take different form.
Well, Nealon was on CNN yesterday talking about how Donald Trump didn't give him the endorsement that he wanted and that he was not allowed into the event.
Mr. Trump is unifying the party, and I applaud him for that. He is a warrior on behalf of American workers. Paul Ryan is a warrior on behalf of Wall Street. That's who Paul Ryan is, and that's who people in this district know him as. Mm-hmm. That's why the party apparatus has circled the wagons to try to keep me out of the airwaves. They don't want people to know that there's somebody who's going to fight for jobs, all American jobs.
So Nealon doesn't stand a chance tomorrow in the Wisconsin primary?
From everything I've heard, it doesn't seem like he's within striking distance now. It could be a surprise, but this would be an unbelievable surprise. This would dwarf the surprise that Dave Bratt pulled on Eric Cantor. This would be monumental. I don't see it happening. Scott on the West Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. The polls for Trump started sliding when he began to take on the Republican advisors. I think that Trump needs to stay outside of the Republican Party and not be part of the Republican Party. I think that's actually going to be his downfall.
Yeah, but do you think he should be openly antagonistic? Do you think that's helpful?
I don't think he needs to be antagonistic.
Right. Yeah, thanks for the call, Scott. I mean, I think that's the important distinction there. You can kind of be above the party or around the party, but being antagonistic, this idea that he doesn't need the Republican Party or Republican rank and filers to win, that's not true.
That's not true.
He does. Dee and Moni.
Yes.
Hi, Dee.
I really think that Trump's a smart businessman. He knows he needs to take his lumps when he needs to. He can't just completely isolate everybody, but he's smart where he needs to learn to pick his fights.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dee. Appreciate it. And there's another fight that was going on over the weekend. This is between Newt Gingrich and Xavier Becerra, who's a Clinton surrogate and a Democrat congressman from California. This was a fun exchange on Chris Wallace's Fox Sunday program. The left, and what would they be doing if people were going after somebody's wife in the Democrat Party? They'd be aghast, and this would be, oh my gosh, the misogynist,
bashing,
right? And listen to Xavier Becerra trying to make an issue of Melania's immigration process and immigration history.
Whatever it was I was going to say.
What's interesting is after 30,000 emails having been disclosed, what we don't yet know is one tax return from Donald Trump. We don't yet know how his wife gained her immigration status because he won't reveal that as well.
That is not true.
And it's time for Donald Trump to start providing at least one iota of information on his tax returns, which he's never agreed to do.
Okay, first of all, we know that his wife had a green card before she met him. She came here legally. She came here legally.
How did she get the green card?
She came here legally.
How did she get the green card?
She applied for a green card. She didn't know Donald Trump.
Circumstances? Because she had been here before she applied for the green card.
And then she came here and decided she wanted to stay and work.
Yeah.
This is the only immigrant in America you're worried about. I think it's amazing that the one person you decided to pick on happens to be the wife of Donald Trump.
Interesting that the immigrant basher is unwilling to explain how his wife, an immigrant, gained her status.
He's not an immigrant basher. His mother was a legal immigrant. His wife is a legal immigrant. He employs legal immigrants. He just likes his immigrants to be legal.
Look, this is why Newt Gingrich is so good on the debate stage, such an effective surrogate, because he just dismantled Becerra. I mean, the line about the one immigrant in America whose status you're concerned about in the witch hunt for Melania. I mean, that smacks of a certain desperation on the left, I got to tell you. John in Cherville, Indiana. Hey, John.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Hey, good morning. Love your show. Huge Trump supporter from day one, folks. I love what Trump is doing as far as, conceding to Ryan and all those folks to bring him into the big tent. I'm watching that same Fox News shows with my wife yesterday morning, and my wife says, everybody I talk to about the election, they say they don't trust Hillary, but they don't like Trump. And she says, well, who would you rather vote for, someone you don't like or someone you don't trust? And that's the election in a nutshell, folks, is that once you lose somebody's trust, it's very, very difficult to get that back. However, it's really easy to be liked. I'd rather be in a position that Trump said all he's got to do is keep his mouth a little bit shut, not go out and attack everybody, let his surrogates do that, and he will win the election, because if you folks see the one part that's hurting Trump, it's bringing the Republicans back in. Trump is winning big with independents. All of the Bible folks are behind Trump. The conservatives are behind Trump. It's really the neocons and the Mitt Romney groups and the Bushes that he needs to bring into the tent.
Thanks.
And if he does that, he'll win.
Thanks for the call, John. I mean, I basically agree. I mean, the idea is for Trump to stop making this a referendum on Trump and to make it a referendum on the person who 60% plus of the American people don't trust. If he makes it a referendum on Hillary Clinton as the incumbent in a change election, who is not trusted, as you point out, then he wins. By the way, one Bush did come across the picket line and support Trump.
Yeah, George P. Bush. But we'll play that for you because I can't wait to see what Jeb has to say.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 84 degrees. And then tomorrow, just another gorgeous summer day, high of 88 degrees, just a little bit more humidity. And we won't see any rain around here until Thursday. Anything bad on the roadways? How's the Bishop Ford doing? Here's David Morrison with the answer.
Amy, we do have some good news for outbound Bishop Ford commuters. They have opened the right lane, the outbound at about 159th. Still, the two left lanes remain blocked off because of a rolled over semi. Inbound, unfortunately, no improvement. Inbound still remains blocked near 159th because of that crash. Checking back in with the Eden, still looking good outbound. Inbound is 21 from Lake Cook to the junction. Kennedy outbound's 40 out to the airport. Inbound 35 from the airport into downtown. Outbound Eisenhower Eisenhower, 37 out to Thorndale. Inbound is 34. The Stevenson outbound takes 38 minutes out to 355. Inbound is 41. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown, 21 minutes. Inbound side of I-57, still about 20 minutes from I-80 up to the Ryan. You start slowing down at 111th. Tri-State northbound slowing down from Southwest up to the 83rd Street Toll Plaza and the Reagan up to North Avenue. The eastbound Reagan, heavy traffic now from Highland over to 22nd. There's a crash on the left shoulder. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Significant economic reports due this week. Donald Trump giving a speech on the economy today. Those stories and more next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. With the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can actually see them. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993 or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
This week, investors have the latest reports on productivity and labor costs, job openings and labor turnover, as well as import and export prices. And Friday, we have the retail sales report, the producer price index, and consumer confidence. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump to deliver an economic speech in Detroit today. He will focus on empowering Americans by freeing the necessary tools for everyone to gain economically. Brazil had hoped the Olympics would help its crippled economy, but those games are making things worse. There's growing concern Brazil will see little return on the huge investments made for the Olympics. Amazon unveiling its first branded cargo plane. It's one of 40 jetliners that will make up the company's own air transportation network. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, there's a great reason why nearly every AM 560 host endorses this product, because it's the best. Even the National Sleep Foundation agrees that Made in America MyPillow is in a class by itself because they made it their official pillow. If you still haven't bought one, you should. You will sleep better, I guarantee it, and it's good for your health. Why? Well, it's washable, so it removes that dead skin, dirt, skin oils, and dust mites. Yes, that's why your pillow is so heavy, because of those dust mites. That can cause allergies, acne, and asthma. You really deserve a washable MyPillow. It comes with a 10-year warranty, 60-day full money-back guarantee, and it's an excellent health investment. So visit MyPillow.com, type Amy in the promo code, and you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Give one as a gift, keep the other for yourself, or just use both, but you should do it now. 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear the news?
George
Big
P.
news. Yeah, George P., Jeb Bush's son, who's the Texas land commissioner, was at an event Saturday night with Texas Republican activists, and he endorsed Donald Trump. He said, from Team Bush, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but you know what you have to do. And here's George P.
And you know, from Team Bush, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but you know what? You get back up, and you help the man that won, and you make sure that we stop Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, make sure you stop Hillary. Boy, Ted Cruz could take a page out of George P.'s book. It's an interesting endorsement, certainly is. Here's something else, though, about Hillary. This was on Drudge. The pictures of Hillary questioning her health. We talked about her misstatements, husband, middle-class tax increase. Also, she's got a history of falls, and there's this picture of her needing help to get up the stairs at an event.
Can I see?
And there's also this. There's also this that was identified on the internet. There's an attaché to Hillary Clinton, and they're that carries a syringe, and the people are suggesting that it's diazepam. They're trying to identify what it is, and then it's diazepam.
What is diazepam for?
It's to assist with seizures. Like perhaps that Hillary Clinton suffers from stress-induced seizures, and what's the genesis of those stress-induced seizures? If that is indeed the case, perhaps it's known, perhaps it's unknown. Remember, she had that blood clot.
And she fell. Was the blood clot after her fall? I can't remember.
Yeah, the point is there are real questions about her health right now, and that's a legitimate area of inquiry for a potential president of the United States. So we'll have to watch this in coming weeks as well.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
What's the difference between an ordained minister and a minister who is commissioned? This is Law and Justice with Jay Sekulow.
Our bylaws are very explicit that a commissioned minister can do everything but marry and bury. The IRS is dragging its feet in one case and has denied a campus minister in the other case on their exemption.
It's a tougher call because usually what the test is, do they serve the functions of a minister, which is usually you can marry and bury and you're ordained. I would say if they're not ordained, it's going to be very difficult. And when they're ordained, you're going to have no problem. But until they're ordained, I think it's going to be very difficult in the sense of a housing exemption or any of that. That's given as what they call the grace of government. And I think you've got to have churches tax exempt because you run into all kind of church-state separation issues. But when it comes to individual ministers, it's a different situation.
Learn more about our work and receive timely updates on the most critical issues facing our country today by visiting us at aclj.org. That's aclj.org.
Hey, maybe it's time to make the switch this school year and send your child to a private school. You can make the switch for half the price off regular tuition when you visit halfpriceschools.com. They have schools located all across the Chicagoland area, including Kankakee, Wheaton, Chicago. This school year is almost here, so don't wait another day. Don't settle for a public school that isn't right for you and your child. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com. And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll talk to criminal defense attorney Matt Hickey about the Paul O'Neill shooting at 7:07.
But first, into the newsroom we go, and here again is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, Delta flights grounded worldwide due to a system outage. Fox with the update in just a few moments. Protests continue in Chicago following a deadly police shooting. Cubs complete the sweep of the A's. WIND Chicago news time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Anyone flying Delta this morning isn't going anywhere. The airline.
Nothing in terms of estimated time of resolution. So I've gone ahead and booked with another airline.
She's in Atlanta where the Delta line keeps getting longer.
They're having to snake it back and forth.
Mark Teigner with Fox 5 in Atlanta.
Delta has no idea, at least they have not told us any idea, how long this particular computer outage is expected to last.
And Delta has told passengers to expect large-scale cancellations. A hospital was bombed today in Quetta, Pakistan. At least 63 people were killed, dozens more wounded. Trailing Hillary Clinton in the polls, Donald Trump will focus on the economy today. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Trump is expected to talk about creating jobs, cutting business taxes, and increasing domestic energy production at a speech at the Detroit Economic Club. The speech, entitled An America First Economic Plan, Winning the Global Competition, will also include a proposal allowing parents to fully deduct child care costs from their taxable income. Trump is also expected to propose a temporary moratorium on all new business regulations, as well as criticize the controversial Trans-Pacific Partnership. Dave.
Rachel, a legend in the Olympic swimming pool, adds another gold to his record collection. Fox's Chris Honig is live in Rio.
Dave, there were 3 world records set in the pool last night, including American teenager Katie Ledecky, who beat her own record by nearly 2 full seconds in the women's 400-meter freestyle. Michael Phelps also picked up his 19th gold and 23rd career Olympic medal in the men's 4x100 freestyle relay. Those are both Olympic records, and he could add to his trophy case. Phelps is swimming in at least 3 more events. Team USA sits atop the medal count with 12 total medals, 3 of them gold. Dave.
Chris, in Kansas City, Kansas, a 10-year-old boy was killed riding the world's tallest water slide, 168 feet. They don't know why yet. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clouds and sun, 71 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. All Delta flights are grounded at O'Hare, all part of a massive outage system-wide, and major delays are beginning to stack up.
They didn't tell us anything. I didn't get an email. I didn't get anything. Nothing. It says, sorry, an agent needs to check me in.
Delta is tweeting saying they hope it will not be much longer. However, the airline right now is not giving an explanation. Person hospitalized following a shooting outside Hawthorne Racecourse. Stinkney police say the victim was shot last night during a Belize Day in the Park cultural festival. Some of those fleeing the shooting actually ended up on the racecourse. Dozens have gathered in Chicago for protests over the weekend. over the police shooting of an 18-year-old stolen car suspect. Protesters gathered last night at Millennium Park and began marching through downtown. Natalie Bray was among them.
We're not going to sit back and let this happen. We're going to, every time something happens like this, we're going to show our frustrations and our anger.
The demonstration comes 2 days after police released video showing the shooting of Paul O'Neill, who was a suspect in that car theft. An investigation underway after a man was shot to death at his own birthday party on Chicago's Near West Side. Everett Coleman was gunned down early yesterday in the 1300 block of West Hastings. Baltimore beat the White Sox 10-2, while the Cubs easily handled Oakland 3-1, backing Kyle Hendricks to the win. The news service of Aruba Tourism. Aruba is your happy escape to a perfect weather paradise. Relax at a luxury resort on the beaches voted some of the best in the entire world. Hop a nonstop flight from O'Hare to one happy island. Plan your shortcut to happiness today at Aruba.com. 7:03 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Hannity Show.
You know, things are so bad, and I know everyone's all focused on Mr. Khan, but Donald Trump was not talking about the Khan family. This is a non-issue. So every time CNN and MSNBC and their abusively biased coverage of Donald Trump comes up, just remember what I told you. And remember what I said in 2007 and 2008. Journalism in America is dead. It's dead and buried.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job. It's such a hassle, the searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer.
7:05. Let's get an update on the roads this morning in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
And we've got good news for Bishop Ford commuters. It seems as though they've made quick work of the rolled over semi. It's being listed as an earlier rollover semi, according to local police. So right now, the outbound side of the Bishop Ford jammed up between Sibley down to 159th. The inbound's jammed off the Tri-State to near 159th, but everything seems to be reopened. Most equipment now off on the shoulder. Checking in with the outbound side of the Edens, it's still looking good. Inbound's 21 minutes from Lake Cook down to the junction. On the outbound side of the Kennedy, it's 40 out to O'Hare. Inbound 35 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. Outbound of the Eisenhower delayed between Cicero and Des Plaines, 37 out to Thorndale. Inbound's 36 from Thorndale to downtown. The Stevenson outbound 38 out to 355. Inbound's 41 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown, 21 minutes. And again, even though it's still jammed up, both sides of the Bishop Ford have been reported as reopened following an earlier rollover semi. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next with your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. The latest this morning with meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Partial sunshine today, high 84. Partly cloudy night, low 68. Then humid tomorrow with clouds and sun, high 88. Partly cloudy at night, still humid with a low 70. Partly sunny, hot and humid for Wednesday with a high of 91. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
72 at O'Hare, 73 along the lakefront. And your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
No justice, no peace.
Policy clearly states that we're prohibited from firing at into or at moving vehicles if the vehicle is the only use of force.
So I may have short-circuited it, and for that I will try to clarify.
The people of this country don't want somebody that's going to short-circuit up here. Okay? Not as your president.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Man, could you imagine how much worse it would be? Things aren't bad enough in Chicago if we had the 2016 games. Excellent piece by Steve Malang in the City Journal over the weekend. I encourage you to read it. Chicago's Olympic escape. Think about violent crime up 70% year over year at present, and the games on top of it. But the finances alone, Brazil.
How much in debt are they going to be?
They spent $20 billion.
Ooh.
They expect revenues of $4.5 billion. Remember, this city
the
is
numbers just don't add up.
like Rio. This city is bankrupt at the outset before you get to the Olympics. And here's one of the reasons why Chicago is bankrupt. Chicago Tribune reminds us that in advance of the 2016 games, when Chicago was competing for the 2016 games, the city negotiated those 10-year contracts with municipal unions at rich prices. Remember, this is daily, trying to get in advance of it, so just signing off on unfinanceable contracts, much like Quinn did at the state level. City also paid $2 million an acre for an empty site that would house the Olympic Village. It still owns the land. Undeveloped plots nearby the land the city owns that's undeveloped go for a mere $300,000 an acre. Total cost of the city, unless it can unload that site where they were going to put the Olympic Village, another $140 million. So you can imagine how the city would have spent our money had it actually received the games.
Why don't we put the Obama's presidential library there?
Yeah, right.
And build a golf course around it. That's what they want to do.
Just a good indicator. And so now to the violent crime piece of it, coming off our deadliest July in a decade, as predicted by Dean Angelo, who we'll talk to at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, Chicago FOP president, it's going to be a bloody summer because police have essentially been put on their heels. And now the question, that since 9 videos were released in the Paul O'Neill shooting on Friday, 4 body cam videos, 5 dash cam videos at the scene. This is the 18-year-old black kid who stole a Jaguar and rammed police cars, sideswiped one going down a street on the south side and hit another one head on.
Yeah, he used his vehicle as a weapon. I mean, it's scary stuff when you watch it, that everyone kept saying, viewer discretion advised. I felt for the police watching this.
Here's the initial contact where he is speeding down a residential street and going right at a police car where 2 officers are getting out of the car because they see the car coming, and he speeds by them, in between them and a parked car, almost takes out the driver, and that's when the shooting starts.
Going towards 740. Going towards 74. Okay. You're good.
So he gets past them, then he crashes a block down into the other cruiser head on.
And then gets out and runs into that person's backyard.
Right. And so the shooting is one of the big issues because the officer opened fire who came from the passenger side of the squad car around the front and fired at him when the car was moving past the car because he thought the car was going to hit his partner or might, and then continued firing, came around the front of the car, continued firing as the car sped down the block. That's an issue.
Yeah, because department policy, you're not allowed to shoot at a moving vehicle.
Right.
You're not supposed to.
If you heard Eddie Johnson at the top, if that's the only instrumentality of the violence, right? If it's just the vehicle. And clearly, Mr. O'Neill was using the vehicle as a weapon, but that's police protocol, as you just described, as Eddie Johnson has said over the weekend. And then what's interesting is to hear in the aftermath of the shooting, where they chased him into backyards in this residential neighborhood, ultimately shot him in the back. An officer did put him in cuffs, and he subsequently died from his injuries after paramedics were called to the scene. But listening to police officers respond interact with one another after the shooting to give you a sense of their mentality and what they thought was occurring.
Is he shooting at our car? Dude, I heard shots. I don't know, man. When he came out the yard, I shot at him. Take your vest off. I think I'm good, man. I don't know. There was a bunch of shots.
I mean, they didn't know because they thought that the shots were coming from the suspect vehicle when they were actually the two police officers. And Channel 5, again, Phil Rogers did a great job slow-mowing this video down. And these officers could have killed each other. I mean, it would have been friendly fire, but they were shooting at both sides of the vehicle.
Well, the issue is, as you hear from the officer who chased the suspect down into the courtyard and shot and killed him, where he thought the shots were coming from. He didn't know because they're a block away. They're coming from different angles. So he hears shots. And because, you're thinking, well, I know police protocol is you don't shoot at a moving vehicle. So you assume that the shots are coming from the suspect. So he goes on to, whether it's talking to officers in after the suspect is detained. Look, I thought the shots were coming from him. I assumed the shots were coming from him. I didn't know if he was armed. And this creates kind of the fog of war dynamic on the scene.
And here's that clip.
I know when the shots were coming at us, when the car was coming at us. That's all I heard was shots. I don't know if they fired or not. We came head on. I took off this way. He was coming over this way. When I approached this way, I didn't know if he was armed or not.
And as to intent, the officer in question is Latino, by the way. I mean, I know I hate doing this, identifying everybody's race, but these are the times in which we live. And here's the officer talking about
what's next for him in life.
We're talking about O'Neill, hoping O'Neill survives. Well, here's why.
Man, this is so up, man. I don't want nothing to happen to that guy, dude. The way going, man, I'm gonna be crucified, bro. Okay, he was in a hot car. Don't worry about it.
So
and then that other officer's trying to calm him down, like, don't worry about it. And
this generated a response from Michael Oppenheimer, who's the defense attorney for the O'Neill family, or the criminal and PI attorney for the O'Neill family.
These police officers decided to play judge, jury, and executioner.
And here's the protesters over the weekend taking a page out of Maxine Waters' playbook.
No peace! No justice! No peace!
So, how to make sense of this and the potential civil culpability and perhaps criminal culpability of the Chicago police officers in this instance? We're happy to be joined by Matt Hickey, who's a criminal defense attorney, practices in Chicago. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. So, as a criminal defense attorney, if you're representing the O'Neill family, and you've watched these videos and you've gotten the information that's publicly available at this point regarding this shooting, what are you advising the family and what are you looking at in terms of possible civil or criminal liability for police?
Well, there are several issues here. Obviously, that's why we're talking about it. I think one of the main things I'd like to mention is that things have changed. You have these protesters out there and they're complaining that nothing has changed. Here, I'm on the radio as a criminal defense attorney talking about a crime they committed, and I'm not talking about what's going to happen to the police officers. So the mentality of certain things certainly has changed, I think, tremendously. A second point I'd like to make is that we heard on the superintendent speak, and I think you mentioned it earlier, that in February of 2015, Gary McCarthy revised the police directive policy of shooting into moving vehicles. And you stated correctly, he said the use of deadly force is prohibited when the vehicle is the only force used against an officer or another person. But if you go down one more paragraph, it says that the officer will not unreasonably endanger themselves or another to conform to the restrictions of this directive. Mm-hmm. So there is a catch-all that allows them in certain circumstances to, use deadly force to stop the moving vehicle. As far as there's going to be a lawsuit, that's going to be handled. There's certainly, obviously, everybody knows different standards of proof in a crime versus a preponderance of evidence in a civil case. So one doesn't necessarily mean to the other. Paul O'Neill was certainly, not making it good for himself when he steals a Jaguar and crashes it head-on into a police vehicle.
Yeah, and days before that, though, he was seen, and they showed the surveillance video of he was seen using stolen credit cards in Bolingbrook, stealing another vehicle in Naperville. What about his criminal?
Objection, Your Honor, prejudicial.
What about, his criminal past? Will that play into this at all?
Well, it shouldn't. It's certainly nothing he did deserve a death sentence. I mean, let's be clear. This is a tragedy. Certainly, it was clear, I think, from those videotapes and the body cams that nobody wanted this man to die. But yeah, sure, it's going to go into his character and his state of mind at the time of committing these crimes. It's tough. You feel for everybody involved, especially the police officers who didn't start out that day to do anything wrong, whereas Mr. O'Neill certainly had less benevolent intentions when he started his day.
So with respect to the body cams and the video that has now been disclosed, does it turn out that body cameras may be the police officers' best friends in this instance, because you start to get a sense of their intent and what they thought was happening, and it's not, he said, she said. You hear their interactions, and so you can kind of start to understand as I mentioned before, kind of the fog of war confusion. There was confusion about where the shots were coming from. There was confusion about how many people were in the car. They thought there were 2 suspects in custody when it turns out there was just 1.
Absolutely. I think it was Officer Coughlin who was the first one to say that there was just 1. But you say these are their best friends. When you read about these police reports of another police shooting, you assume this conspiracy of police officers getting together to come up with a story. What I saw on these body cameras wasn't police officers. These were humans. These were humans who had just been crashed into, who were adrenaline pumping, who were nervous, who were concerned about each other, and also humans from a diverse rainbow of people. I mean, there are women, men, Hispanics, whites, blacks. They're all just trying to make sure everybody's safe and okay. And I think, in that respect, these body cameras are going to really humanize the players involved.
Do you think the Justice Department's going to get involved in this?
I'm sorry, Amy?
Do you think the Justice Department's going to get involved in this?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, they're already looking into CPD, though. I mean, they're already
Right.
investigating CPD. I mean, they could widen it, I suppose.
This will come into the interviews that go on, but what's the end? So the Justice Department can come in and take over the Chicago Police Department? I don't think that's going to be to anybody's benefit.
Well, and now one of the things on the body cams, though, that may be useful for Michael Oppenheimer, the attorney for the O'Neill family, is some of the interactions between police officers where they say to the officer who opened fire, don't say anything, wait for the investigator to show up. There's an administrative process. One African-American female officer says to Officer Ortiz, who apparently is the officer who shot O'Neill, she kind of points to her body cam and says, hey, basically saying, shut up, these things are on. What about that? How do you, as a criminal defense attorney, what would you make of that?
Well, I think that's a natural reaction. Had we shown that they were doing something like that before the shooting, now you can allege a conspiracy and something's up. But these are just reminders, hey, you're being recorded. We have to preserve this evidence. I think on body camera 3, it was the one that came up when we first get something unusual. Just a brief aside. The body camera 3 shows the paramedic coming up with a bulletproof vest. Where else other than Chicago did the paramedics wear bulletproof vests? But he's the one that says, listen, officers, chill out, get near the car, don't say anything, make sure anything you say to anybody is a camera. And these are just procedural things that have to go into account when there's been a shooting. I don't see the direct conspiracy that they're going to try to show that took place in the mindset before this happened, based on those cameras.
But I don't know if you live in Chicago, Matt, but if that was happening on your street, wouldn't you support police for shooting Paul O'Neill?
I'm sorry, it's tough to action. Can you say it again? I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh, if this was happening on your street, where you live, that this crazed guy in a Jaguar, and he looks like he's trying to kill police with his vehicle, don't you agree with police for shooting him at least, or trying to stop him any way possible?
Well, I agree with police in that that's what we have investigations for. That's what's going to be done. But certainly, if there's someone racing around in stolen vehicles in my neighborhood, I want the police to stop them. But if they can do it without using deadly force, obviously that's better. Get the guy a day in court. But it certainly didn't seem like the police acted improperly or with an idea to begin with that they were going to hurt this man.
But if you're representing the family, the argument you're going to make, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is the police violated policy that led to other police officers not knowing where the shots were coming from, which led to Paul O'Neill being shot in the back. So none of this would have happened if police hadn't violated department policy with respect to shooting at a moving car. And it seems to me that's where you hang your case.
Yeah, well, they're going to try to do that, but the police didn't make any procedural mistakes when he stole his car.
Well, right.
That is the thing that triggers the whole deal. What about that? I didn't hear you mention the body camera 4 when they talk about the ambulance drivers are inviting the officers to go to UFC versus Christ because Christ Hospital doesn't like CPD.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Wait, what was it?
That's amazing. Well, repeat this, Matt. There's an exchange about where to take the officer, University of Chicago Hospital or Christ the King, and one of the paramedics says what?
The paramedic says you don't want to go to Christ because they don't like CPD. If we bring you to Christ, they're going to make you wait in the waiting room.
I mean, wow, yeah. Hey,
it's horrific because I always thought police, nurses, doctors, emergency first responders all had a kind of a brotherhood, and so that's upsetting to hear that.
Yeah, that's not exactly great publicity for Christ the King. Oh, my goodness. Matt Hickey, criminal defense attorney in Chicago. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Sure. Have a great day. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, what would you do? Your phone calls, 312-642-5600, our turnkey.pro answer line. First, here's your forecast. Plenty of sunshine. Average high this time of year of 84 degrees. We're going to hit that today. And then tomorrow it's going to be a little more humid, a little warmer, a high of 88. Let's get those travel times. Here's David Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
We still have a closure on the Bishop Ford. They've reclosed all of the lanes because of cleanup of the earlier rollover semi. Even though the semi itself has been pulled off to the side, all lanes are still closed. You've got big delays on both sides of the Ford approaching 100. Best to take I-57 or the Indiana Toll Road to the Skyway. Those are going to be much better alternates. Outbound on the Edens, 21 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The outbound Kennedy's 45 out to O'Hare. Inbound is 40 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. Eisenhower outbound 40 out to Thorndale. Inbound's 36 minutes. Stevenson outbound 36 out to 355. Inbound is 40. Dan Ryan outbound is 30 minutes. Inbound on the Dan Ryan right about 79th Street. They've got the two left lanes blocked off with a brand new crash. Looking at about a 35-minute travel time from 95th to downtown. Again, Bishop Ford still closed both directions approaching 159th because of an earlier rollover semi. They still have it blocked for cleanup. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
Imagine someone stealing your home without even breaking in. Think it's not possible? Think again. Have you or your aging parents already fallen victim to deed fraud, known as house stealing? The FBI is calling house stealing the fastest growing white-collar crime in America. The scariest part, most people have no idea their home title was transferred, often to a person the homeowner knows and trusts, like a caregiver or family member. Now, there is a fraud alert service where homeowners and their loved ones can check risk-free that they're not already a victim. It's called HomeTitleLock.com, and it also alerts you if someone may be trying to scam you out of your home. Try Home Title Lock monitoring risk-free today and receive your home's title history, a $59 value, absolutely free. Deed fraud is increasingly targeting seniors. Protect your biggest asset and don't lose your family home forever. To make sure you're not already a victim, go to HomeTitleLock.com. That's HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy taking your calls about the Paul O'Neill shooting now that those videos were released on Friday, and we've been discussing them in details, playing the pertinent parts. So let's go to Keith in Crestwood. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
I wanted to make a comment about, I appreciate the way you discussed this subject, but both these incidents, Paul O'Neill and the Laquan McDonald thing, police officers are charged with protecting the general community, not themselves even. They don't protect individuals, but when these individuals committed these crimes, Are you going to let them flee back into the general community and keep committing these crimes? Paul O'Neill committed a forcible felony by striking a marked Chicago police squad car.
No question.
I think he was, and he was fleeing.
Yeah.
So by state law, they had the right, as sad as it may appear to people, to literally shoot him in the back.
Thanks for the call. Keith, are you a police officer?
Retired.
Retired police officer. Okay, thanks for the call, Keith. Appreciate it. Will and Skokie.
Good morning. The thing that gets me, and I've watched these videos a few times, is these officers have no shooting discipline. I mean, you do not shoot a gun while you're running after somebody.
Yeah.
You don't, when somebody else is in the line of fire, you don't shoot. I have a number of friends who are Chicago police, and we go to the range a lot. I'm a concealed carry. And it's surprising because I beat them all the time, and they sit there and say, well, we usually only shoot like twice a year when we have to qualify. I'm at the range like at least once a month just practicing. And these guys, they really have to get back on their, when to shoot and when not to shoot and how to shoot.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Will. I mean, although you look at that, and that car is coming on them fast and they're trying to get out of the car and trying to stop the car at the same time. I'm not saying there are not issues with what that police officer did, who shot across the hood at the car as it's going by, then got around the front of the car and continued to shoot as it sped down the block. I think there are some issues there, but I also understand his initial reaction, seeing that car coming right at the driver's side door and worried about his partner.
Yeah, he almost clipped the cop. I mean, he used his vehicle as a weapon.
Dennis in Crystal Lake.
Hey, Dan. Hey, I'll tell you what. If I was that FOP president, I would secretly tell my guys there's about 5 neighborhoods in the city that commit about 90% of the crime. Just give them boundaries, let them shoot it out. Civilians,
no.
No, I'm serious.
No,
man.
Dennis. I mean,
President wants this racial divide. He's got it.
Thanks for the call, Dennis. But here, this is what because let's remember something. These neighborhoods where most of the violent crime occurs are mostly law-abiding.
Yeah, it's a nice neighborhood. There's no garbage on the street, well-kept, manicured lawns.
I don't care if it's a bad neighborhood. They're mostly law-abiding families, and they deserve police protection just like I do in Streeterville or Amy does in Lakeview. So let's not, kind of go overboard because the left goes overboard.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you could quickly and painlessly clear your psoriasis or vitiligo, would you?
No matter how big the psoriasis is, no matter how small the psoriasis, we can help you.
Ashley is a clinical specialist for Extract, the amazing in-office treatment for psoriasis and vitiligo that's clinically proven to show immediate results with up to 95% clearance.
What my patients love most about the Extract treatments is it's safe, it's FDA cleared, and they're seeing results very quickly.
End the embarrassing, painful patches and discoloration with Extract. There's no medications, no topical ointments, and virtually no side effects. Extract uses light to transform your skin and change your life. It's covered by all major insurances and Medicare, and will help you find a doctor close by.
I love what I do. I love coming in every day and making a difference in patients' lives. It's amazing.
Call now to live Extract Clear. Call 800-978-3554. That's 800-978-3554. 800-978-3554, or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
State rep is driving Uber because he can't wait for his paycheck.
Whoa.
Welcome to the party, Representative Andrade at 7:37.
Oh, and then we'll have a campus update. A few more schools that Peyton and Eli cannot go to. But first, let's go into the newsroom and welcome back Mike Scott.
Well, thank you, Amy. And 71 outside, and we're watching Delta Airlines grind to a halt this morning because of computer problems on their network globally. The airline declining to immediately comment by phone, saying it was unclear whether all of its flights were impacted at the moment.
Usually you get an email, you get something telling you that something's wrong, but we didn't get anything.
The company says IT systems are down everywhere, and they say hopefully it will not last much longer. Officials say no one has claimed responsibility for the bombing of a hospital in southwest Pakistan, where authorities have now raised that death toll to 63. An American and an Australian have apparently become captives in Afghanistan. A security official in the capital, Kabul, says 5 gunmen wearing Afghan military uniforms abducted the pair yesterday. It is a national day of mourning in Macedonia, where a storm that hit that country's capital killed at least 21. Injuring 70. Race car driver Brian Clausen has died following a violent crash in Kansas. The announcement made this morning. The 27-year-old passed away last night near Lincoln, Nebraska. Clausen was racing in a midget race when his car flipped over several times. The Indiana native, considered the nation's top short-track dirt car driver, he also made starts in the Indianapolis 500. A person hospitalized following a shooting outside the Hawthorne Racecourse. Stickney police tell us the victim was shot during the Belize Day in the Park Cultural Festival yesterday. An investigation underway after a man was shot to death at his own birthday party on Chicago's Near West Side. Everett Coleman was gunned down early yesterday in the 1300 block of West Hastings. Baltimore beat the White Sox 10-2. Cubs over Oakland 3-1. And the news, a service of Amtrak. Great memories are made on trains, not in traffic. Experience travel the way it should be. Go from Chicago to New Orleans for $104 with Amtrak Saver Fares. Book now at Amtrak.com/SaverFares. See where the train can take you. Restrictions apply. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
My America is really easy. I can sum up my America in about 9.5 seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show.
It's my life, it's my money, it's my family, it's my business. I'll be responsible for everything. Government, get the hell out of my life. 9.5 freaking seconds.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
That might have been 8.5 seconds.
Blue Moon Barbecue Sauce is back at Buffalo Wild Wings. Rich, tangy barbecue sauce combines with the citrus flavors of Blue Moon. Get here before it's gone. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
7:36. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Bishop Ford, still a big trouble spot for most commuters. The outbound side's backed up from about Sibley down to 159th Street. They still have the 2 left lanes blocked off because of a rollover semi they've been handling all morning. Inbound remains completely shut down between the Tri-State and 159th. You've got delays off of 8094. Bishop Ford is obviously a place to avoid at this point. 57 is going to be a good alternate, as well as the Indiana Toll Road and the Chicago Skyway. Outbound of the Edens, 21 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The outbound Kennedy's 45 out to O'Hare. Inbound 45 from the airport to downtown. Outbound to the Eisenhower, 40 minutes out to Thorndale. Inbound 36, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound Stevenson, 36 to 355. Inbound is 40. The inbound Ryan is 30 minutes from 95th to downtown. Earlier crash at 79th is gone. Eastbound in the Reagan, there was an earlier crash at Cermak. It's been pulled out of the way. This report is sponsored by Account Temps. Do you need accounting and finance professionals for long-term or recurring projects? If you prefer the same professional to handle your project through its duration, Account Temps salaried professional service may be the solution. Call today or visit accounttemps.com. Account Temps, a Robert Half company. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny and 84 today. A partly cloudy night ahead, low 68. 73 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio, the show dedicated to the red meat issues, including gun control, privacy, and freedom of speech. Heard Sunday nights at 9 p.m.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So this story is interesting. Oh, boy. State Representative Jaime Andrade.
It's Jaime.
Is he Jewish?
No.
Oh.
Jaime. No, my ex's name Jaime. You pronounce it Jaime.
Yeah. Jaime Andrade. Jamie Andrade.
Jamie. All right. Wait. How do you spell his last name?
Andrade. Andrade.
I just want to look him up. All right.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I want to know and let's see the subject matter of who you were speaking about.
So, Jaime Andrade, 34-year-old state rep, portion of the Northwest Side. He's in the city. He's driving Uber.
What?
And has been for a couple of months because, the state is in arrears as it pertains to everything, including legislative paychecks. And in her infinite wisdom, Comptroller Leslie Munger has said to state legislators, you're in the queue just like everybody else. $10 billion in unpaid bills to state vendors, like social service providers. Why should state reps and state legislators be put to the front of the line? They shouldn't, and they haven't been. And so Andrade, who was relying on his legislative salaries as sole means of income, has had to drive Uber to make up the difference during this period where their checks are being delayed. And this is a great story,
this
right?
This is great. No, you know why? Because it's a great way to connect with your constituents. You can drive them around and hear about their problems.
Yeah.
No, seriously. And then, they get to know their state rep and maybe they'll vote for him next time around.
Right. So this is a great story because, Andrade is enterprising and he's out there taking a job, just being a regular Joe, or regular Jaime in this case. That's the story, right?
Right.
He's availing himself of free market opportunities created by entrepreneurial capitalists to drive for Uber so he can make a living.
Exactly, Dan.
Like so many Chicagoans and Illinoisans and Americans are doing thanks to innovators like Uber. But then there's this, and you won't get this at DNA Info or anywhere else in the Chicago media because they don't do their research and they don't provide context and they don't follow what's actually going on. They just give you the, Democrat legislator does it again story of heroism. So here's the question for Jaime Andrade, who we invited on this show and declined to participate.
Was it you or was it me?
I don't know. Maybe it was House Bill 4075.
Blame it on the House bill.
House Bill 4075, passed in April of 2014, finds Jaime Andrade voting yes on this bill. 4075 was a bill that protects taxis at the expense of Uber. According to Uber at the time, were rallying people, 90,000 signatures in opposition to 4075. 4075 would negatively impact Illinois consumers by capping flexible supply of drivers, like Uber drivers, full-time red tape for part-time drivers, as well as higher costs by applying old insurance models to rideshare drivers that already have 3 times the level of insurance as taxis. This was all basically Democrats who supported this bill. It's passed 80-26. Democrats rallying to protect taxis, insulate them from Uber competition, and Jaime Andrade, who is now an Uber driver, voted against Uber. So this is the disconnect that we see in Illinois generally. Your state rep up there in the 40th district, folks, is availing himself of an opportunity he tried to eliminate for you and everybody else. The opportunities are good when it's for their benefit, the ruling political class, but when it comes to protecting cartels and other institutional interests in Illinois and Chicago, you can count on Jaime Andrade to be a Madigan roll call vote. So lest you think that Jaime Andrade is some heroic regular guy figure, he's just a tool of the Chicago Democrat power structure when he goes to Springfield and votes, whoever he pretends to be when he's in district driving Uber or walking precincts or whatever. And this is the two-step that all these Democrat legislators get away with because people aren't paying attention. I know Jaime, or I know State Representative X or State Representative Y, and I see them at the school functions and whatnot, and they're so nice, and they're so this, and they're not part of Madigan, and they're not part of what's going on in Illinois. Yeah, they are.
Well, do you think he even realizes what was in that bill? Do you think he knew what he was doing? Or he was just told to vote yes for that bill? Do you think he read it?
So is the question, was he ignorant or malicious? I have no idea. Not that the two are mutually exclusive. You could be both and be a state legislator here. By the way, one other note on this, just in terms of these poor state legislators who aren't getting paid on time like they've become accustomed to. And remember, Kim Lightford. Wasn't it Kim Lightford? State Representative Kim Lightford, who famously said on the Senate floor, we played this a few weeks ago, that they deserve to be paid first.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the attitude down there. By the way, just so you know, a little context for when you meet your local state rep at the fish fry and they tell you their tale of woe like they're in the same bucket you are. Illinois state legislators, base lawmaker salary.
What is it? Wait, can I guess? And this is a part-time job, right?
Yeah.
$60,000.
$67,000, $68,000 if you round up. $68,000, that's base before you get the additional stipends for being a member of a particular committee or chairman of a committee and so on and so forth.
And don't they pay for your transportation to and from Springfield?
Well, sure.
For gas.
Your per diems, $68,000 plus you vest for a pension after 8 years.
Really?
Plus health insurance.
Oh, health insurance, that's huge.
$68,000 in Illinois. You want to compare this? Indiana legislative salaries?
How much?
$24,000. Wisconsin, $50,000. Iowa, $25,000. Missouri, $35,000.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And
so you're the highest salaries, and we're the largest in debt. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's instructive, right? We've talked about this before. Texas has a state legislature that meets once every 2 years. They pass a 2-year budget, meet once every 2 years, and they get a stipend like a couple of grand.
Right.
It's because they want citizen legislators down there. And we have a professional political class, and we are the worst governed state in the nation, in the worst financial shape in the nation by a long shot. And this is why Governor Rauner has made his renewed call for term limits, and he's got a commercial up right now to that effect.
Illinois politics is a mess.
The system, it's broken.
Once a politician gets to Springfield, they never leave.
They redraw districts just to get reelected.
We need term limits.
Term limits. Term limits. Let's get a petition going.
Didn't we already sign one?
They were hoping we'd just forget about it.
Let's get 1 million signatures this time.
Make them debate it.
Make them vote.
Make them accountable.
After all, I got a future taxpayer here.
Let's all sign the term limits petition. Go to fixillinois.com.
Nice.
And at the city level, this is not aldermen, although they make, 6 figures plus their district allotment and the whole thing. It's a nice life for a feudal lord in the city, too. But let's talk about what's happened during Tiny Dancer's tenure. The number of Chicago city workers earning a base salary of $100,000 has gone up by 92% since 2013. 3 years ago, 2,500 city employees made $100,000 plus. Today, 4,800, or 15% of the city government's workforce. This against the backdrop of cities with police and fire pension funds that are 30%, that are funded at less than 30%, a $19 billion unfunded pension liability and municipal fund that they're trying to make up for with a $250 million utility tax increase, 2 property tax increases, and look at the number of people making 6 figures and the additional burdens that will be imposed with the pension benefits they're racking up. That's your city, that's your state. One-party rule for 100 years at the city level, one-party rule effectively for 40 years at the state level, although with a lot of Republican help, I'll concede the point at the state level. So keep it going. All you suburban families voting for Democrat state legislators in Lake County and Will County and DuPage County, Eastern DuPage at least. Make sense? You like what you're getting? Then maybe pay attention to what the hell is going on in the communities in which you live, served by these politicians. And the same thing goes for all 50 wards in the city of Chicago, all of which are lorded over by Democrats. And Tiny Dancer at the top of the pyramid. Going well? You like it? Want more? Mike in Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, guys, I think you might be missing one additional story, and that is, who's this guy carting around? Is it people, business owners who are bidding on state contracts? And how much is he getting in tips? That's what I'd like to know.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about this legislator who's driving for Uber.
Oh. I see. Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah, who's he driving?
Right.
Yeah, he's driving Mr. and Mrs. Daisy from City Hall, right. Matt in Fox River Grove.
Yeah, good morning. I'm calling about Jaime as well. Dan, I think you're being a little hard on him. You know, you're making the assumption that he read the bill before he voted on it. Isn't their MO to pass it, to know what's in it?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That's what
Thanks for the call,
questioned
Matt.
earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably didn't read it, that he was just told to vote for it by Matt again, and he did.
And that makes him a great legislator. Mark in Plainfield.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. First of all, I'd like to wish you both a happy Atomic Bomb Day. Today should be a federal holiday, and August needs a federal holiday.
Okay, Dr. Strangelove. Yes.
As far as the story goes, my point is, shame this kid happened on a national level, because the Fed is Illinois at a much bigger scale, and if anyone deserves to miss a few paychecks, it's the crooks in D.C.
Thanks for the call, Mark. By the way, interview with Faisal Khan, the former city legislative inspector general. That's on upstream-ideas.com against the current this week. Excellent, really interesting guy. He served mayors Giuliani and Bloomberg before he came here, and then was summarily bounced by Rahm Emanuel and the city council because he took his job seriously and he didn't get the memo that he wasn't supposed to. He suggests that investigations that he turned over to the FBI when he left the legislative inspector general's office, which has now been disbanded, are going to result in criminal prosecutions of incumbent Chicago politicians, and one can only hope he's correct. Sean in Elmwood Park. There you go, Sean.
Very naive. I find that guy very naive who thought there was going to be some sort of investigation. First of all, Dan, foot soldiers are very expensive, and ghost jobs are plentiful. So don't knock the $100,000. How else are we supposed to get this kind of loyalty? But more importantly about Jaime, I got a Romeo and Julieta for you, Dan, that says we're paying for the gas in the Uber, for the cherry on the Gaga Sunday. Guaranteed we're paying for the gas, and we may be paying for the car. Because one thing Illinois never talks about, we don't even know how many cars, how many gas cards, and how many car insurances we're paying for. We don't have a clue because it's never been audited. So let's take the body cameras that we find so useful in the police instances and put them on every lackey, on every lobbyist, and on every appointed foot soldier, so-called state rep, who's representing nothing but himself and his own checking account. And it's a shame because Uber serves a purpose. There's a lot of good people, a lot of ex-millionaires that are surviving on that Uber, and yet they're constantly under assault by the very politician who now is using it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Sean. Exactly. And I'll tell you, I love the idea of body cams on the political class. Since they like red light cameras so much, speed cameras so much, they love it so much. Let's put cameras inside City Hall to monitor everything going on in the city council, everything going on in the mayor's office. Wouldn't that be reality TV?
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, another school that Peyton and Eli cannot attend. But first, here's your forecast. Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 84 degrees, more of the same tomorrow, a little bit more humidity and higher temps, a high tomorrow near 90. Any high travel times? Let's get the latest from David Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks very much, Amy. The inbound side of the Bishop Ford still completely closed between the Tri-States and near 159th because of a rolled over semi. You've got delays coming off of the Borman Expressway out of Northwest Indiana because of it. Outbound, only the 2 left lanes are blocked, but it's still backed up between Sibley down to 159th as they continue working with this incident. The outbound side of the Edens, 27 out to Lake Cook Road. Inbound is 21. Kennedy outbound, 45 to the airport. Inbound, 45 from O'Hare into downtown, 35 from Montrose, 20 minutes in the inbound express lanes. Outbound on the Ike, 47 to Thorndale, inbound 46 from Thorndale to downtown. Stevenson outbound 36 out to 355, inbounds 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore. Dan Ryan outbound 15 minutes, inbound is 30. There was an earlier crash at 79th. I-57 inbound, it's heavy from 115th up to the Ryan Expressway. We do have building delays on the tollways. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, it's time for a little R&R, courtesy of ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Escape to Wisconsin with an overnight stay for the Schuster Mansion Bed and Breakfast in Milwaukee. Spend the night in Molly's room. It's a 2-room luxury suite, don't you know, with a private bath and concierge service. It includes breakfast in the Victorian dining room and fresh chocolate chip cookies, yours for only $85 per couple. If you need to stay closer to home but want a night out, laugh out loud and be a part of the show at Comedy Sports Improv. Tickets are normally $44 for 2, but find them at ChicagoRadioDeals.com for only $22. And be sure to get your car ready for summer cruising with a deal from Fuller's Car Wash of Elk Grove Village. A full-service car wash package includes wash, vacuum, windows, dash, an $18 deal just for $10. Find it all at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing, independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mark Weingart, President and CEO of Star Creations, Inc., the fastest-growing supplier of wall decor products in the U.S. When it comes to banking, I don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. That's why I bank at Signature Bank Chicago. At Signature Bank, every customer is important. I know I can pick up the phone and talk to any one of the decision makers I know and trust at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, they understand and respond to the unique needs of my business with flexibility and fairness. I'm proud to bank with Signature Bank because I know they're deeply invested in the success of Star Creations.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Time for Campus Watch.
Yeah.
All right, you go first. You go East Carolina.
Okay, this is a East Carolina University. I'm sure you've heard of it. You already told me the Pirates, right?
Yeah.
When you come back to school in the fall, you can take part in adulting. Do you know what adulting is? Adulting is a counseling program to help students deal with failure and other pitfalls of growing up. So basically, when students return in the fall, they'll be given a self-assessment test about resiliency and offered help to deal with stress, ready through relaxation and by changing unproductive negative thoughts. I mean, the goal is to teach students that there are setbacks in life, okay, ready? And responding to them properly is the key to their development. So counselors want to prevent students from turning to drugs and alcohol to deal with stress, basically. So that's why they're having adulting classes. All right, now try and one-up me.
Adult children.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we are.
No, and they're going to ask them, too, how do you feel that you received a C? Are you beating yourself up because of it? What is the self-talk you're having with yourself? I mean, they're trying to just make sure that kiddies are okay by having adulting classes.
I'll see your East Carolina. I'll raise you University of Wisconsin at Stout, taking down 2 historic paintings after the school's, ready for this?
Okay.
Diversity leadership team warned that the paintings could be psychologically devastating for American Indian students.
Oh, what were they?
They're 2 paintings of French fur traders, and American Indians traveling down the Red Cedar River by canoe.
What is offensive about that?
Another portrays a wooden fort constructed by the French. Neither painting shows any violence. But after 80 years, the murals are abruptly being given the heave-ho.
Hey-ho.
After concerns were raised that the paintings are heap big offensive. And some American Indian students, Native Americans, have objected to the paintings. So it turns out University of Wisconsin Stout is not so stout of heart when it comes to intellectual integrity.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. And now, a moment of objectivism with Yaron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Elon Musk, the entrepreneur behind PayPal and SpaceX, explained why he believes America is the world's leader in innovation. Quote, "The U.S. is more open to new ideas than any country in the world. It is a country that tends to encourage success. Where you see someone that did extremely well, generally the reaction in the U.S. is good for them. In most countries, that's not the reaction. People tend to think, oh, that person did well because they screwed somebody else," end quote. What makes prosperity and progress possible? A culture that values reason, science, and freedom. One that admires achievement and success. Today, opponents of economic inequality are trying to change America to envy and demonize success. To learn how to stop them, listen to my show. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Your child is growing up. High school is your last chance to choose who will influence your student, who will help guide your child on the path to adulthood. Take a moment to consider Luther North. Luther North College Preparatory School on Chicago's Northwest Side challenges students to develop strong values and leadership qualities as they set goals for the future. Luther North boasts small class sizes, broad extracurricular opportunities, and championship athletic teams. Is your student ready to pursue higher level academics through AP classes or Luther North's dual credit program with Concordia University? Does your child struggle with organization, time management, impulse control, or stress management? Luther North provides a grounded, faith-based environment where faculty and staff are focused on seeing and serving your student as an individual. It's time to consider Luther North. Learn more at luthernorthcollegeprep.org or call 773-286-3600. Scholarships and financial aid options are available.
On August 19th,
my family, they deserve justice.
What is your name?
Ben-Hur.
Best-selling author Rick Warren declares Ben-Hur has it all. Heart-stopping action. It's an emotional roller coaster.
You cannot fight them in the streets. There is a way.
Joel Osteen, senior pastor of Lakewood Church, raves. It's spectacular, compelling, and stunning.
Win the race. Win our freedom. You should have killed me. I will.
Stand and fight, brother! Ben-Hur, rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters, Real D 3D and IMAX 3D, August 19th.
WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Delta planes are taking off again. After an hours-long computer outage that grounded flights around the world, Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more live.
Dave, Delta says the ground stop has been lifted and limited departures are resuming, but it's warning passengers there will still be delays and cancellations. There are long lines as those delayed passengers try to rebook and keep their cool.
It's a little concerning. I'm hoping that they're going to put me on a different airline. I need to go see my client.
Delta's blaming the problem on a power outage in Atlanta and is waiving fees for rescheduled travel within a certain time frame, Dave.
Tanya, Donald Trump will tell us today his vision for the economy if he's president.
A senior Trump campaign source tells us that at the top of the list today is a 15% corporate tax. That's obviously much lower than the current rate of 35%. Also on his to-do list, letting people fully deduct all child care expenses and a renegotiation of what he says is a bad trade deal, NAFTA.
Fox's Peter Ducey in Detroit, where Hillary Clinton will detail her economic plan Thursday. Why did a boy die on a giant water slide in Kansas? They don't know yet the day after. Fox's Jeff Manasso has more live.
Dave, 10-year-old Caleb Schwab died yesterday at the Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City after riding a 168-foot tall water slide, dubbed the world's largest.
We honestly don't know what's happened. That's why an investigation, a full investigation is necessary. We have to understand what's happened.
Multiple people are telling local news agencies that the harness on the slide was not working properly. Information that spokeswoman Winter Prosapio is not yet confirming. Schwab was the son of State Rep Scott Schwab. The water park remains closed today. Dave.
Jeff, a former NASCAR driver has died this morning, 2 days after Brian Clausen was injured in a race in Kansas. It took them a half hour to cut him out of the midget car. Clausen was just 27. He'd raced in the Indianapolis 500 3 times. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Clouds and sun, we have 72 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Delta flights are no longer grounded after a major power outage in Atlanta that impacted Delta flights around the world. Those flying with the airline may be back on planes later today, but they're warning of large-scale delays and cancellations across the system throughout the morning.
Usually you get an email, you get something telling you that something's wrong, but we didn't get anything.
Again, Delta flights are no longer grounded, but that does not mean there will not be delays throughout the day. Person hospitalized following a shooting outside Hawthorne Racecourse. Stinkney police say the victim was shot last night during the Belize Day in the Park annual cultural festival. Dozens gathered in Chicago yesterday for a protest over the police shooting of an 18-year-old stolen car suspect. Protesters gathered Sunday evening in Millennium Park. They marched through downtown. One of those was Natalie Bray.
We're not going to sit back and let this happen. We're going to, every time something happens like this, we're going to show our frustrations and our anger.
The demonstration came 2 days after police released video showing the shooting of Paul O'Neill, who was a suspect in a car theft. Footage showing Chicago police firing at a car O'Neill was driving as it careened toward officers. Baltimore beat the White Sox 10-2. Cubs over Oakland 3-1. The News, a service of 7-Eleven. Chill out this summer at 7-Eleven with a refreshing ice-cold Big Gulp. And try a classic chicken sandwich or their new quarter-pound classic cheeseburger for $1.99. Only at 7-Eleven. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Delta Airlines stock is declining before the Wall Street Open, down 2% pre-market following news of the computer system outage that grounded Delta's flights worldwide. Fast food and casual dining chains have been updating their menus to make them healthier. Dine Equity, the parent company of Applebee's and IHOP, says in Canada it will be removing soft drinks from kids' menus. Last week, the chain reported weaker than expected business in its recent quarter. An international company will own the business that brings you Sleepy's, Tempur-Pedic, and Sealy mattresses. Steinhoff of South Africa, originally from Germany, is buying Mattress Firm of Houston. The deal allows it to expand into the U.S. The Dow was up 191 points on Friday. The Nasdaq added 54. The S&P gained 18. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:04 in Chicago and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Marxists, socialists, and communists forget the government doesn't have any money.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
Except money it took from someone who is producing money. Government creates no money. The only way the government has money is if it took it from one of us. And so the only way that it would have money to give these people is if it took more from the other people. Thus, Marxism, communism.
Dave Ramsey, weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job. It's such a hassle, the searching, the sorting through resumes. Most people don't have the right experience.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. Right from the start, you could tell it was going to make hiring a lot easier. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them. Thumbs up if I liked them, thumbs down if I didn't. No emails and attachments, printing up docs, phone calls, none of that.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I had the person we needed within 1 week. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Whether you're looking to fill one position or 20, find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer.
It's 8:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the very latest now. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
And Mike, we still have a closure on the Bishop Ford inbound, still blocked off between the Tri-State and near 159th. All lanes blocked because of a rolled over semi. Outbound is closed near 159th. Only the two left lanes are blocked. The right lane, the right shoulder are getting by. You've got delays starting at Sibley down to that point. It's best to avoid the Bishop Ford entirely if you're going to be going through there. Take either the Indiana Toll Road or I-57. Outbound Eden's 27 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. Inbound's 21. The Kennedy outbound's 40 out to the airport. Inbound is 45. Outbound on the Ike 50 to Thorndale. Inbound is 46. The Stevenson outbound's 28 out to the Tri-State. The inbound commute 30 back into Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to downtown at 30 minutes. I-57 inbound starts slowing down at 115th. And we still have some building delays on the tollways, but they are starting to diminish in a couple of spots. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here is our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, partly sunny, high 84. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 68. Tomorrow, warm and a bit more humid with clouds and sun. High of 88 and a low tomorrow night of 70. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
72 at O'Hare. Next news 8:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Heard Saturdays at noon right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Policy clearly states that we're prohibited from firing at moving into or at moving vehicles if the vehicle is the only use of force.
So I may have short-circuited it, and for that I will try to clarify.
The people of this country don't want somebody that's going to short-circuit up here. Okay? Not as your president.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. What is up, Dan and Amy? This bit of breaking news, according to The Hill and a couple of other outlets.
Yeah.
A man named Evan McMullen, who is a former CIA operative and the current chief policy director of the House Republican Conference, expected to announce an independent presidential bid today.
What?
He's going to try to get on 20 to 30 state ballots, and his candidacy is specifically focused on stopping Donald Trump.
All right, well, good luck with that. Haven't others tried that before or thought about that?
We'll have
French.
We'll have more on that story, but this individual is apparently actually doing it. We'll have more on that story, but I want to return to the issue of the Paul O'Neill shooting, since those 9 videos were released on Friday. 4 body cam videos, 5 dash cam videos. This is, again, the 18-year-old black kid steals a Jaguar, speeding up and down the streets, sideswipes one police car that he's coming at head-on, which results in one of the officers in that car opening fire, and then crashes head-on into another police cruiser, which and then exits the vehicle. That precipitates a chase. He's ultimately shot and killed by Chicago police. Michael Oppenheimer, the plaintiff's attorney for the O'Neill family, had this to say.
These police officers decided to play judge, jury, and executioner.
Now, you expect a little overheated rhetoric from a plaintiff's attorney, but that does not square with what you see on those videos, in my estimation.
No, in the videos, this guy, O'Neill, used his vehicle as a weapon. He was trying, in my estimation, to run down the police officers and kill them, and they fired shots back. And there was, like the fog of war, what happened, and after the shooting, the body cameras picked up this.
I know when the shots were coming at us, when the car was coming at us. That's all I heard was shots. I don't know if they fired or not. When we came head on, I took off this way. He was coming over this way. When I approached this way, I didn't know if he was armed or not.
And that was an officer.
And so Police Chief Eddie Johnson said at a news conference over the weekend, a lot of people are upset by what they saw. Quite honestly, they have a right to be upset. which was interesting. And the head of the Independent Police Review Authority, Sharon Fairley, said she found the video, quote, shocking and disturbing. So a little bit of judge, jury, and executioner from the police department and IRPA side. For more on this, we're happy to be joined by our friend Dean Angelo Sr. He's, of course, the president of Chicago FOP Lodge 7. Dean, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good morning.
So why don't we start with the reactions before we get into the details of the incident, at least as memorialized in those videos. What is your response to the quick response, the judgmental response from Chief Johnson as well as the Independent Police Review Authority?
Well, I'll start with IPRA. You know, those kinds of comments coming from someone who's supposed to be doing a fair and impartial and unbiased investigation right at the onset is a little concerning. It's part of what I've been talking about for months now, that we have a civilian organization investigating police-involved incidents that don't have the wherewithal to do that, or to do so, because any investigator involved in police work would never make statements about an investigation that is just beginning, like the ones that were made the other day. That's completely unacceptable, and that is why, and another example of how they just don't have a handle on this.
I know it's early in the investigation, but do you think those three officers felt that their life was in jeopardy? That's the reason why they shot at Paul O'Neill?
Well, you know, it's hard to put yourself in the mindset of the police officers when they're there. You can see the event unfold. It happens in a matter of moments. The reactions that were done were done by individuals that had a heightened sense of anxiety, had a heightened sense of fear that something was about to happen. And when you have a situation of this nature, you know, the policy was changed under Gary McCarthy. So there's a couple of different issues at hand. We have administrative issues, and then we have the incident that results in the death of O'Neill. So there's a lot of aspects of this investigation that have to be put together. And it's very early right now at this stage.
Well, what about this matter of the opening fire? The one officer who opened fire, this against the new protocol of not shooting into or at moving vehicles if that's the only weapon that the assailant is using. Now, there is a kind of an out. We talked to a criminal defense attorney last hour, made the point there's sort of an out that, you know, kind of you still are allowed to take reasonable precautions in protection of your life. So it seems to me, though, this is going to be the critical issue in terms of litigating this or investigating it at the IRPA level, because the shots that were fired by the first officer at the first car that the assailant came upon created confusion as to who was firing with officers down the block.
Well, you know, the officers that were coming down the block that were eventually hit head-on had the fear that they were being fired at, and they were under the assumption, I believe, that the offending vehicle was the one where the shots were coming from. Now, I've not seen any case reports. I have not interviewed anybody in this process at this stage. So, you know, it's very difficult to put yourself in those shoes when these things come out and occur so quickly. And, you know, we're waiting on, you know, further discussion and further discovery. And, you know, the lawyer you mentioned, you know, the family's attorney, some of the statements he had made prior to even seeing the video were completely inaccurate, and some of the statements he's made since have been extremely accusatory, that there was a conspiracy and that the cameras were shut off on purpose. And, you know, it's such a far reach, but I guess when you can say what you want in certain situations now in Chicago and not be held accountable.
Well, the truth of the matter is they recently received those body cameras, a week ago?
Right. So I think that one of the officers that were involved, I believe the one with the camera that wasn't capturing anything during the incident, had the camera for about 4 days. And there's a lot of training involved as far as, you know, when it's recording, when it's not recording, but also when you are to engage it, when you're not to engage it, but then you have to add the heightened stress of this situation on top of everything else. When you think you're going to, or you're taking fire, and now you're involved in a foot chase, and your mindset has to break from that to activate the camera. With 4 days of wearing that device, it's kind of a far reach in and of itself as well.
Yeah, and we sat down and did an interview for our Against the Current series on upstream-ideas.com a couple months ago, and you said, get ready for a bloody summer. And your prediction, unfortunately, has come true. July, the bloodiest July in a decade. And then we hear after this shooting and after the suspect had been arrested while awaiting the paramedics, the officers at the scene are talking to one another. And the officer, Ortiz, I believe is his name, who apparently shot Mr. O'Neill, says, I hope the guy is going to be all right. I'm going to get crucified. And it seems to me that was a real insight into the mentality that police have in the climate in which they operate.
Well, we have individuals that are involved in doing police work that get stripped of their police powers, and they're just performing their job. It might not look good on camera, but you're taking action that saves your partner, or you're taking actions that you perceive to be the proper actions at the time. No one wants to come on this job over the course of their career and never fire their weapon, let alone take someone's life. It's extremely difficult for any human being to be involved in that, and people forget that because these individuals, these women and men, are wearing a blue shirt. And I think that's lost on a lot of what's going on right now. It's not your intention to leave your home, go to work, and then engage in deadly force. It's not what someone does and has that in their mindset, but it's something that you always have to be prepared for. And generally, it's based on the actions of the individual that's involved on the other end of these incidents.
Now, Dean, do you fear that these three officers will be charged criminally?
Oh, I don't think so. At this stage, it's early to tell, but it is 2016 in Chicago, and we don't know what to expect. I don't think there was criminal intent in the mindset of any of these individuals. I think that we have a situation, tragic as it was, that will be investigated. If it's investigated based on what occurred, once the evidence comes out and once the statements are considered, I don't think that there's any criminal charges that are available. But again, it is 2016 in the city of Chicago, and I wouldn't be surprised what can happen. But we're going to be watching this, and we have individuals involved with these officers right now, talking to them, and we'll see what happens.
One of the comments that was made by Officer Ortiz when he got into the ambulance was rather remarkable, and it's kind of been underreported. But he's talking to paramedics, and they're saying, where do you want to go? And it's UFC or Christ Hospital. And the paramedic says, well, they don't like police at Christ Hospital. They're going to make you wait in the waiting room. So why don't we take you to UFC? The idea that there's a hospital in the city of Chicago that has an antagonistic posture towards police as it pertains to providing medical attention, kind of a remarkable statement for a paramedic to make, don't you think? Well, and the paramedics know. They're in and out of those emergency rooms on a regular basis. They know everybody. And does it surprise me? No. It is where we are at right now. The police have been vilified, and it's gone to the emergency rooms. We generally have an amazing relationship with nurses and emergency room personnel, so it's kind of sad that's where we're at with that institution. But the paramedic would not have made that type of statement if he didn't have some sort of substance to back it up. Well, I know. That's the frightening part of it. One national question before we let you go. Over the weekend, the National Fraternal Order of Police, the organization you head up in Chicago, found out that Hillary Clinton is not going to seek that union's endorsement. Chuck Canterbury, the national FOP president, said it sends a powerful message. To be honest with you, I was disappointed and shocked. Do you have any reaction to Hillary Clinton deciding not to seek the FOP endorsement?
Well, from what I understand, we've known of this for a couple of weeks now, and we're waiting for the National to come out and say something about it. But because it is a national process, it goes to the national organization. It's their responsibility to reach out and submit a multiple questionnaire for the presidential candidates to complete so that they could share that with their political committee and then to the memberships throughout the different states and consider an endorsement. And I guess Mr. Trump completed his, and Ms. Clinton did not. And from what I remember by the release that was submitted to us was that multiple attempts were made to her camp to get the questionnaire completed so that they could submit it to their committee for review, and the time frame came and left, and it basically fell on deaf ears. And then we were told that, in fact, they were not going to complete the questionnaire, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, they had all their people completing that Black Lives Matter questionnaire.
Yeah.
Dean Angelo, Senior President of FOP Lodge 7 in Chicago. Dean, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
What would you have done if you were a police officer and Paul O'Neill almost crashed his car into you? We're taking your phone calls next. 312-642-5600 is the number. 75 degrees right now, going up to a high today of 84 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Then same for tomorrow, although it'll be a little more humid, a little hotter, a high of 88. Let's get those travel times and say good morning again to David Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Still no good news, though, for Bishop Ford riders. They're still pretty much jammed up. If you're headed inbound, it's still closed between the Tri-State and 159th. That's all because of an earlier rolled over semi. Everything's finally been uprighted and reportedly off the roadway, but they're still cleaning up all the lumber that fell into the roadway. If you're headed outbound, just the two left lanes blocked at 159th, but the delay begins at Sibley, and the damage certainly has been done. If you can get over to I-57, that's going to be much better. Right now, I-57 is clear. Outbound on the Edens is 30 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The outbound Kennedy's 50 minutes out to O'Hare. Inbound only 35 from the airport in. Outbound on the Eisenhower, 55 out to Thorndale. Inbound's 46, Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson outbound 40 to 355. Inbound's 37. Dan Ryan inbound 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Lakeshore Drive each direction slows through Grant Park. The Tri-State southbound is looking good. Northbound heavy from Southwest Highway to 31st and from the Reagan up to North Avenue. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
You always listen to AM 560, The Answer. You've heard all about Turnkey IT, Chicagoland's leading IT service provider for small business. Turnkey provides world-class support and customizable plans for businesses with 5 to 100 users. And with some of Turnkey IT's programs, you get all new equipment, free security, and antivirus protection. Sound great? Then why haven't you called Turnkey IT? There's really no excuse. Turnkey IT is setting you up with their best offer yet. Through the summer, all AM 560 listeners receive their first month of service for just $1. Your business will receive comprehensive coverage, including unlimited help desk and online support, network hosting, and antivirus protection its first contracted month for just $1. Ready to make the switch? It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro now. That's turnkey.pro. And tell them AM 560 The Answer sent you. Get ready to focus on the important things of your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today.
As a business owner or HR director, you've seen medical plans disappear. You've seen deductible and co-payment and total out-of-pocket expenses skyrocket, and the new prescription plans are a joke. You've been forced to accept the Obamacare-compliant plans, while at the same time, labor organizations and other friends of the establishment have been given special exemptions. Thankfully, the market for group health insurance has caught up, and some companies we work with can now offer these same ACA-exempt policies for your employees. My name is Greg Eck, president of Beneficial Solutions. Our team has been reacting to ever-changing insurance markets for the past 25 years. Beneficial Solutions will arm your company with the latest tools to protect your business from potential ACA penalties and make the most of your employee benefit dollars. Call us now so we can game plan before open enrollment season arrives at 630-717-8282. That's 630-717-8282. Or find us online at beneficialsolutions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so what do you think about the O'Neill shooting?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think when I saw it, I was preparing myself. It's going to be graphic. And I understand their rage and their fear. I felt fear for the police officers, and I understand why they did what they did. If that guy was running through my neighborhood acting like that, putting people's lives in danger, police officers' lives in danger, I would have done the same thing.
And remember...
And then people say, oh, you're racist. Oh, Mom, my kids, Mom, you're racist. I said, this has nothing to do with him being black or white or green or purple or red. Color does not matter in this case. He was a thug. He was stealing credit cards. And before that shooting, 3 hours before, there's surveillance tape of him at a gas station using a stolen credit card, hanging out with guys that stole other vehicles.
No, that's prejudicial. It's not germane to this incident. But
and then they told him to stop 1,000. He didn't stop. He doesn't care. He's a thug.
And it's key to understand that the officer who did the shooting apparently thought he was armed because of where the shots were coming from. And this is why the whole issue of the police... the first police officer deciding to open fire on the moving car is, really central. Phil in Skokie, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I wish your screener had put the call through because I had a question to ask the FOP guy.
Yeah, well,
which was there were some reports that this carjack thief had been spotted hours earlier throughout the District 4, and that numerous other vehicles gave chase hours before. And the guy was basically just driving around the stolen vehicle, almost taunting police to chase him. And I wanted to know if that was true or not. That's on Second City Cop Report.
Oh, really?
Okay. Thanks for the call, Phil. We'll have to look into that. I'm not sure on that. Verlin on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Amy, you trying to give cover for these trigger-happy police. Look, let me tell you something. I saw the video, too, and half of the people on radio are saying that the man went around. He tried to go around the police. He was not intending to hit the police. That police almost shot his partner because he let those bullets go off so soon, and then another police gave chase behind him just shooting. All these people police can't even shoot. The policy is you do not shoot into a moving vehicle because you can endanger innocent citizens. Number one, if you shoot the man, he can lose consciousness and hit innocent citizens. If you don't hit him, he can be scared and still hit innocent citizens.
Yeah.
All those bullets was going on.
You also have, Verlin, hold, take a breath. Take a breath. We also have the issue, and we've discussed this, and we've discussed the policy that you're referring to, but there's also a paragraph right underneath that policy in the police protocol that suggests that police have the right to essentially use reasonable judgment to protect their lives, even with respect to that policy.
I'm so sick of hearing these police talk about, I fear for my life. You don't need to be a police officer there. A police officer is supposed to be fearless. A soldier don't run around in Iraq talking about, I fear for my life. That's so petty. That's so petty and crap. And these police, once they killed the man, it was high-fiving, calling derogatory names. One of them was stepping on his leg.
You're lying, Verlin.
Yeah, okay, thanks for the
they
call,
were not
Verlin.
high-fiving each other.
Yeah.
They were checking each other to see if they were shot. They were checking their arms and legs.
And by the way, Verlin, as was noted a couple of times now, you watch those videos and you see police officers of all races and genders and et cetera on the scene. So the whole kind of, white versus black narrative really doesn't hold up. Harry and Wilmette.
Hello?
Hey, Harry.
Hi. Yeah, I was just suggesting maybe automated law enforcement would be the solution. You could have quadcopter drones with tranquilizer darts, self-driving cars, and there would be no issue of race. You would just, obviously the sci-fi has gone wild with that, but, there's no conscience. The training is basically programming the things, and, who knows? It might be something to consider.
Thanks, Harry. The best kind of sarcasm is sci-fi sarcasm.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
How long were you a slave? 5 years. What is your name?
Benna. On August 19th, my family was betrayed by my own brother. On the road to revenge, I won't let him go unpunished. One man was shown the path.
There is a way. Defeat your brother in the arena and free us all.
To redemption.
People would follow you. I would follow you.
You should have killed me. I will.
No, brother!
Ben-Hur. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters, Real D 3D and IMAX 3D, August 19th.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hillary short circuits at 8:38.
And she can't get up the stairs. Help, I've fallen. I can't get up. We'll explain, but first into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Clouds and sun, 72 degrees. And for flyers, a bit of good news. Delta flights are no longer grounded. Power outage in Atlanta affected Delta flights throughout the world, prompting a ground stop overnight. Those, however, flying the airline should expect large-scale delays throughout the morning.
Normally I logged right in. Now it's not logging in so quick. I'll have some flight information, but I have no update on if it's going to be late or anything like that. It's usually really good.
Company says IT systems were down worldwide. The death toll has gone up to 63 in Pakistan following a suicide attack in the town of Quetta on a government-run hospital. Donald Trump delivers a speech today to the prestigious Detroit Economic Club. Trump focusing on boosting jobs and making the country more competitive. Kansas City water park is closed today. Authorities investigating the death of a 10-year-old boy on a slide billed as the world's largest.
Given that safety is our first priority, we have closed our Kansas City park and have closed the ride pending a full investigation.
Spokesperson for the Schlitterbahn Water Park says Caleb Schwab died yesterday on the 168-foot-tall Verrückt. The boy was the son of Kansas State Representative Scott Schwab. Drowsy driving causing accidents that cost us more than $100 billion a year. It's a new National Highway Traffic Safety Administration study out today blaming drowsy driving on at least 72,000 wrecks. A person hospitalized following a shooting outside the Hawthorne Racecourse. Stickney police say the victim was shot during the Belize Day at the Park, an annual cultural festival held in a nearby parking lot. And a canine officer is credited with helping authorities nab a robbery suspect in St. Charles. An 18-year-old man held up a 7-Eleven early yesterday in the 1700 block of Maine. Then an Elgin police dog tracked down that robber at an apartment building. Officers later arrested Kevin Hamilton, charging him with armed robbery. Baltimore beat the Sox. Cubs and Kyle Hendricks beat Oakland. The news, a service of Aruba Tourism. Up for a little adventure in paradise? Just head down to Aruba, go beyond the beautiful beaches, and explore Aruba's dramatic coastlines, ancient caves, and hidden gems. Hop a nonstop flight from O'Hare to One Happy Island. Plan your shortcut to happiness today at Aruba.com. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what's happening to the Clinton campaign.
But you want to hear how goofy the Democrats are right now? They want to blame the Russians for the WikiLeaks stuff. Here's the Clinton campaign manager, Robbie Mook, on CNN.
The Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump. I don't think it's coincidental that these emails were released on the eve of our convention here. We also saw
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Go to BuffaloWildWings.com to reserve your draft party at one of their locations. B-Dubs caters to your needs as a fantasy football fanatic. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
It is 8:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest. In for Jim, here's David Morrison.
Thank you very much, Mike. We still have the closure on the Bishop Ford. If you're headed inbound, it's still completely shut down between the Tri-State and 159th because of rolled over semi. Delays begin off of 8094. Outbound, it's still jammed between Sibley and 159th. The two left lanes are blocked off with the accident. Still no real clear time on when it's going to be completely reopened. Outbound Eden's 30 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The outbound Kennedy's 50 out to O'Hare. The trip back in is 35. Outbound Eisenhower 55 to Thorndale. The reverse commute 46 from Thorndale. Stevenson outbound 40 out to 355. Inbounds 37 minutes from 355. And the inbound Dan Ryan 95th to downtown takes 30 minutes. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny and 84 today, partly cloudy and 68 overnight. Clouds and sun, 73 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the greatest financial crime in history. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues right now. And make sure to join me, Sean Hannity, this afternoon starting at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So we mentioned this at the top of the hour. I'm going to go back to it briefly. This Evan McMullin, a CIA veteran and chief policy director for the House Republican Conference, expected to announce an independent presidential bid today. He is running for president for the purposes of stopping Donald Trump. The aim is to get on 20 to 30 state ballots. McMullin served in the National Clandestine Service for 11 years, where he managed clandestine operations related to counterterrorism and other issues, according to his profile. He then went to work at Goldman Sachs before working 2 years as a senior advisor on House Foreign Affairs Committee and a little under 2 years as the chief policy director for House Republican Conference. Now, it turns out Hillary Clinton's brain is not the only one short-circuiting. Joe Scarborough said certainly they, meaning McMullin and the Never-Trumpers, still believe they can go past the 270 electoral votes threshold, so this person will be able to be in the debates. No. I mean, it's theoretically possible, but just like Gary Johnson, he has to get.
He should be in the debates, but he can't.
Well, you can, but you've got to get to the threshold of 15% rolling average in national polls.
Yeah. And he's
you think Evan McMullin is going to get there between now and September 26th?
I'm sorry,
Joe Scarborough?
Evan who?
Yeah. I mean,
Is
this is buffoonery. Just absolute buffoonery. It really is.
Well,
and Joe
think
Scarborough's a
stop?
moron. You would think he'd know a little bit more after having served in Congress. And, somebody get him some reading materials before he starts that idiotic show on MSNBC. So there's that. But so short circuits there and short circuits for Hillary. Now there's some evidence before her address to the Black Journalists Association that the short circuiting was happening between her ears. Let me give you an example. Last week at a rally.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
Now look, I appreciate her candor, but normally you don't telegraph what you're going to do as a leftist, which is to raise taxes on middle-income families, because that's where the money is. So, of course, you have to do it, and that's what she will do. But
you don't tell people that. You say you're going to raise, if you want to get the crowd fired up, you tell them you're going to tax the rich.
Yeah,
it's kind of stumbled there.
It's unusual to be so forthright. And then over the weekend, maybe again, the tongue says what the heart desires.
Oh, are you talking about what she really feels in her heart?
About Donald Trump.
And, of course, I hope you will compare what I'm proposing to what my opponent is talking about.
Oh, my husband? My husband? Little bit of a girl school crush? A little bit of a Wellesley crush on the old Donald there, you think? You think there's something afoot there?
I don't know. I mean,
she's holding a torch?
She did go to the wedding. Maybe she went to try and stop it because her true love is Donald Trump.
I'll tell you. Very interesting. And then
They both have the bell-shaped curve, too.
in terms of the body type?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bell-shaped.
Yeah, they got the pair action
And they
going
both
on.
have problems walking up the steps. I don't know if you saw Donald Trump when he hosted or made an appearance on Saturday Night Live. He looked old. I mean, he is 70, 74? 72?
Yeah, but he doesn't have one of his attachés carrying around a syringe with diazepam in it, apparently.
Okay, what is this new information?
Well, the people have seen this the self-injection thing that one of her aides carries around, and there's been these, her falling and her making statements like that, and some people have identified it. I don't know if this is true, but it's going around the interweb there, firing through the tubes and so forth, and they've identified it as diazepam, they think, which is used apparently to counteract seizures that may be brought on by stress. So maybe Hillary's
maybe she
well.
could get it next up for her as a service dog.
Perhaps it is. Now, she was before, as I mentioned, the National Black Journalists Association, and she was actually asked a relatively pointed question, which is a surprise coming from an organization that's in the tank for the left, I'm sorry to say. And it was about her lying about her emails.
Well, Kristen, I appreciate your asking that because I was pointing out in both of those instances that Director Comey had said that my answers in my FBI interview were truthful. That's really the bottom line here. And I have said during the interview and in many other occasions over the past months that what I told the FBI, which he said was truthful, is consistent with what I have said publicly. So I may have short-circuited it, and for that, I will try to clarify because I think, Chris Wallace and I were probably talking past each other because, of course, he could only talk to what I had told the FBI, and I appreciated that.
What does that mean when we were talking past each other? Do you want to try to talk past each other?
She was answering a different question than he was asking. I mean, potentially. But here's the bottom line. Tribune did a nice fact check on this. I have said during the interview and on many other occasions of the past months that what I told the FBI, which he said was truthful, referring to Comey, is consistent with what I've said publicly. Actually, Comey never said that. The only thing he said is we have no basis to conclude that she lied to the FBI. No basis to conclude she lied is not the same thing as concluding she told the truth. And here's the other thing Comey did say when he testified before the House Oversight Committee and in an interchange with Trey Gowdy about Hillary Clinton's public statements.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
And it just goes on from there, one lie after the other. The other thing Hillary Clinton keeps saying is never sent anything marked classified. And that's not true. That was classified email. Comey said 3 marked emails had a C mark at the time they were sent or received by Clinton, which would indicate their classified nature.
But then they went to, Clinton's people said, well, she's not hip into the internet. She doesn't know what's classified and what's unclassified.
That has nothing to do with the internet. That has to do with the content of material. And you think the Secretary of State would understand that if she designates classified information, of course she does. Of course. It's lying. It's just.
Well, Donald Trump called Clinton unhinged, using really his own, her own terminology against her.
The people of this country don't want somebody that's going to short circuit up here. Okay? Not as your president.
Basically saying, she's unstable, she's unhinged, and Dan, don't kill the messenger, but Cokie Roberts on ABC is concerned.
Cares.
She said Donald Trump attacking Hillary Clinton as unhinged is basically a gender attack, saying that we shouldn't elect a woman.
They question her honesty.
But that's right. About unhinged and she doesn't look presidential is totally code for we shouldn't elect a woman. That is exactly.
I don't know if I agree entirely with that.
How does she turn that into a gender war? I mean,
because she's gender obsessed, like everyone else on the left. I mean, when Donald Trump is referred to as unhinged, which he has been repeatedly, and
sometimes
Dangerously
not
insane.
inappropriately, when his temperament is talked about and the question of temperament is asked, and when Hillary Clinton comes out in the public opinion surveys as having a better temperament, according to the American people, than Trump, is that a gender-related issue too? I mean, it's just
they're really
silly.
stretching.
It's just silly. This is why these Sunday talk shows are, generally speaking, not worth your time. It's just pablum because they're completely dominated by the left now. There's nothing interesting. Chuck Todd is a tool of the left. John Dickerson on Face the Nation is a tool of the left. Obviously, you have Clinton Foundation Zero on This Week.
And when he's not there, Martha Raddatz is there, and she went to Obama's wedding.
The only show that's worth at least getting some balance is Wallace's show on Fox News Sunday. And so there's that matter. But then there's this other matter that happened over the weekend, which goes to why this email issue is so important. And it's the execution of Shahram Amiri, an Iranian nuclear scientist who was executed by our new partners in peace, the Iranian Ayatollahs over there. He was executed for being a spy for the U.S. government. Amiri, who defected on his own accord in 2009, provided secrets about Iran's nuclear program to the government. Federal sources telling the Washington Post the CIA had planned to pay Amiri $5 million in exchange for the sensitive information he conveyed. Well, Amiri's name turns up in Hillary Clinton emails.
Oh.
These were
maybe that was a motivating factor why they killed him.
Well, these were released by WikiLeaks. And so it goes to the problems, to put it lightly, with not being circumspect with classified and sensitive information. You can put an asset's life in jeopardy. And so we don't know. We don't know what the Iranians knew. We don't know if the Iranians had parts of this correspondence about Amiri between Clinton and senior aides. But we know it occurred, and we know hackers got it, and we know the Russians and the Iranians and all other enemies of America are constantly spying, just as we're spying on them. So this is what we're talking about. Lives compromised, intelligence compromised, national security compromised, when you're willy-nilly about your private server for, whatever reasons were actually underlying her decision with the private server, which was, of course, for her, in my estimation, for her to be off book and conduct, leveraging the State Department to fill the coffers of the Clinton Foundation and all kinds of other nefarious activity. And here was U.S. Senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, over the weekend on Face the Nation, addressing this matter.
Now, of course, I'm not going to comment on what he may or may not have done for the United States government, but in the emails that were on Hillary Clinton's private server, there were conversations among her senior advisors about this gentleman. That goes to show just how reckless and careless her decisions was to put that kind of highly classified information on a private server. I think her judgment is not suited to keep this country safe.
Dare I say, at the risk of offending Cokie Roberts, unfit for the office. Charlotte in Arlington Heights.
Hi. I think Hillary got away with a huge whopper just a couple of weeks ago. Remember, she said she was abandoned by both of her parents, and it was only the kindness of others that helped her survive.
Her mother was abandoned, not she. But
I have on my shelf a 1993 biography of Bill and Hillary Clinton called Partners in Power by Roger Morris, a doctorate from Harvard University, prize-winning investigative journalist. She seems to have a fairly normal childhood growing up in Park Ridge, stay-at-home mother, comfortable. What is she talking about? She was engaged in a lot of activities in high school, belonged to that Methodist church for several years. Where was she abandoned?
Yeah, it's the false Horatio Alger story. Thanks, Charlotte. Art on the Northwest Side.
Hey, how are you? On Fox this Saturday morning, they said there was a man who was from the Bernie Sanders campaign. He sued he filed a suit with the government that the DNC cheated Bernie Sanders with all those emails they were sent, and that it was wrong, and he filed a lawsuit. They said they found them dead Saturday morning.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that story. But just so, are you suggesting something nefarious afoot?
Who was Hillary's lawyer that was found dead in Central Park?
Yeah, Vince Foster committed suicide, though. Let's conspiracy theories.
Sorry, guys.
You know what? One guy said the only reason that the FBI director didn't convict her He said he had 2 kids and they were scared.
Okay, thanks, Art.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 84 degrees, and it's going to be nice around here and no rain in the forecast until Thursday. Let's get the travel times, and here's David Morrison, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Amy, we still got troubles on the Bishop Ford. If you're headed outbound, it's backed up big time. Sibley to 159th. The 2 left lanes remain blocked. Inbound still closed and has been all morning between the Tri-State up to near 159th, all because of this rolled over semi. They are still working to get everything cleaned up. We'll let you know when it gets cleared out of the way. Outbound of the Edens, 30 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The inbound side's good, but delays on the spur ramp are starting to pop up. Outbound on the Kennedy, 43 out to O'Hare. Inbound 33 from the airport to downtown. Outbound Ike, it's 53 out to Thorndale. Inbound's 45 from Thorndale. Stevenson outbound is 35. Inbound is 42. And the inbound Dan Ryan, 95th to downtown, takes about 30 minutes. The tollways are starting to dissipate. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm David Morrison on AM 560, The Answer.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
You know, Amy, we talk about such dismal news so often. I want to end with a feel-good story today.
Okay.
The man, Leroy Black, who unfortunately died of lung cancer last week, but he was a beloved figure. He was so beloved that his wife and his longtime girlfriend decided they needed to offer competing obituaries on Leroy to remember him in their own way.
Wait, did they know about each other prior to his transitioning to heaven, or maybe to hell?
Well, one death notice states that Black is survived by his wife, Beretta Harrison Black, his son Jazz, and 2 others from a different relationship. Below is another that incorporates a nickname for Black, Blast. That's from his girlfriend. Makes no mention of Black's wife, but does say he is survived by his son, Jazz, 6 siblings, and longtime girlfriend, Princess Hall.
Oh no. What happened when they met at the funeral?
A funeral home spokesman told the Philly Voice that the 2 obituaries for Black were necessary because the wife wanted it one way and the girlfriend wanted it another. And I think it's nice when everybody can come together and memorialize Leroy Black. I mean, it's
well, he lived quite a life.
It's a nice story.
Yeah, quite a life. He was very self-serving. He took care of himself, clearly.
And a couple of others.
He was a blast,
as well.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey, you've heard me talking about my good friends at Guardian Security Services for a few months now. And if you haven't called them yet, what are you waiting for? If you're unhappy with your door staff or on-site security officers at your gated community or residential high-rise, man, don't tolerate it. And certainly don't renew your contract for 2017. Instead, get a quote from Guardian Security Services. I put my name behind these guys because I love them and I really trust them. They only assign the most professional, highly trained door staff and security officers in all of Chicagoland. Schedule a free security assessment with my friends at Guardian Security Services. Get a contract quote for next year. Right now, call 708-385-3300. That's 708-385-3300. Tell them me, Joe Walsh, sent you. Or go online at guardiansecurityinc.com.
Many of you own or manage growing companies, and you know that your entire business depends on your phones. If your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it can mean lost revenue. That's often the case with an outdated phone system. The solution? Well, it's a company